Good. Good.
All right.
Getting that echo again.
The echo of Andy just saying good after Shrewd says good?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes.
I didn't say good twice.
Good. Good.
Double good.
Good.
Double good. Mmm.
Well, I guess Shadow doesn't say that, but
Look who just subscrantoed. Well. Can we know Anto? I hate it. I just hate it.
Chuckles first. Hate
All
yourself
right.
First. Granton.
So, let's see. There we go. Am I coming through?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, in last week's game, we sort of got through the final couple of fights in the dungeon when the group went to the third floor, and while on the third floor, they did this thing where they fought a very, very large carotid column and a very large ice golem. And then they went in and spoke to Zmichi, the greatest villain who has ever lived. And
Joey did not.
Zmichi sort of failed at them while the animated body of Predna's Kaldurgs walked around making ice walls and trapping people inside them. And eventually, Predna's Kaldurgs was defeated, and Zmichi was, who was currently undergoing a transformation into a Nyoji, got beaten up and turned back into a dwarf, and the group sort of did what they could to take stuff, but this room is just freezing, just frosty cold, because temperature from the plane of Risia is being funneled in through this gate right here. And so they left. Zaract is changed, and so Zaract said, I'll stay behind and I'll grab all of these weapons out of his frozen body, and I'll try to figure out what's with this portal. The rest of you leave. And so everybody else went back to the warm room, and Zaract putzed around with the gate a little bit and figured out what she could. And the conclusion that she came to is that this gate it's not a gate. You can't walk through it to go to Risia. The point of it was to try to link this gate to the plane of Risia to the same spot that's the Frostfell is linked to, where Draukatur is kept. And if the hobgoblins could do that, then he might be able to pull his frozen overlord through the portal, under the assumption that she would help him fight the horrors of Zoriat. That probably wouldn't happen. What would probably happen is she would show up and just freeze everybody to death. But desperate people are desperate. Yeah. And then Zaract began to use her newfound powers against bodies and the undead to ash his entire body. And once the body was ashed, she gathered up all of the equipment that she had, and or that she found, and headed back to the ground floor warm room. And once there, started divvying up the things that she found, including the frozen sphere, which was the chief weapon of Predna's Kaldurgs, his armor, and a bunch of other weapons that were stuck in him or to him in the ice. There were spears and swords and daggers aplenty. As everybody else got back, they saw that Corley and Forsidna were still keeping watch over Geralt Dothrashk, and they seem to be safe. Zmichi, who I'm still using the Neogi symbol for, he is no longer a Neogi. He's just a fat little dwarf. But yeah, everybody is safe and is getting a little bit of rest and warming up a little bit because they were just in the coldest room in the dungeon. They were just in one of the coldest places on the planet, really. So, with that, all of you all-terrain 4-wheel drive jelly spoons, what would you like to do?
Zarek still has some things to say to various people.
Okay. I believe Zarek has sort of intoned to people that she is going to be staying. She's going to be part of the dungeon.
That is correct.
She has undergone some changes recently that would make leaving the dungeon would be fine, but leaving the city would probably be rough.
Yeah.
She has realized that as a Sigil Sworn, she kind of needs the manifest zone to exist. So yeah, she's. I know you were having her sort of place some of her items up here.
Mm-hmm.
Who would she like to talk to?
She's going to roll over to Dandrin.
Okay.
Past Zmichi with a cold look, obviously. And as she approaches, having kind of laid everything out,
Dandrin's just organizing the stuff as you come over.
She says, "There have been some difficult decisions made with this group, for both of us, I think. And it doesn't make sense, in light of all the things that I have found here, to leave with you. But I trust you, and I know that you will continue to look out for the best interests of the remainder of them. In that respect, I also ask that you look out for the best interests of my people in New Seer. I won't be able to access them for some time. I've provided here my limited funds, and ask that you turn my share of anything else that we've taken towards their benefit. I know that you are an honorable individual and would do so. I have no doubt that you'll turn those to best interest."
And I suppose the elder would be the best person to give your share to ensure it is distributed fairly.
To be frank, I don't trust her. She is...
Ah, well, then I can oversee it directly, I suppose.
Alternatively, your sister, given if she's able to distribute to the shifter communities, I trust her business acumen, and as long as you can oversee and identify that my wishes are being carried out, then I believe she's capable.
I can speak to Uswin about it.
It'd be appreciated.
Is there anything else? You've been a fine companion. I'll be sad to leave you, but if you think it's what's for the best, I respect your decision.
You know as well as I do the suspicions that I've carried. I would encourage you not to abandon them.
I understand where you're coming from, and I truly do. But those here have stuck through thick and thin together and had many opportunities to run or hide. They haven't, so I'll also have to weigh it against that. But I'll respect your wishes and I'll make sure your people are looked after.
There's a really decisive point where, like, Zarak's inherent personality really steps in there and be like, well, yeah, but also emotion confuses her. And so, rather than getting riled up about that situation, she just kind of shrugs. How well you do so will determine the potential impact should something go sideways. I trust you'll deal with it either way. You'll look over to the mercenaries. I think they've kind of gotten all of their grievances out, and they've got a new contract, so she feels fine about that. She cannot look Lumio in the face right now, because that just makes her teeth clench, and she's got far too many of them.
Her, 3 rows of shark teeth.
Just, man, that's a nightmare waiting to happen. So, and she's already spitting blood to some extent, so,
She's happy.
Yeah, no, she's not. She has emotions aren't a thing right now. She's working with sort of preconceived ideas that have been set in motion. She's not generating anything new. So, with that, like, she just kind of shrugs her pack on and leaves. Like, that's it. That's the end of things.
Does everyone pick powwow together? Over here. Well, actually, it's over here. Garcia, if you'd be so kind as to join us. I've been where you've been. I understand. It's going to be murky for the next day or two.
You were at that table?
Well, yes, I've been at that table. No, the black ice and the memory loss. I've been there. It happened to me. I understand. We're going to be heading up quite soon. We're just going to make one quick stop while we're in here on the other side. We're going to pick up the scroll. I believe DeLeon might be able to just cheat the system. DeLeon.
Yeah.
The traps in that room don't seem to open fire upon just entering that initial area. I believe your hook shot has a longer reach than they do. You might be able just to grab it and go. Barring that, I'll just carve my way in from behind.
Well, you say barring that, but you want me to do it first. Doesn't that mean that I have to try and maybe fail at it first?
Well, you have faith in your invention, don't you?
I have faith in the invention, but not in the trap.
Oh, if it makes you feel safer, I'll just cut a hole in the wall on the side.
No,
you can do it from there.
I'll do it. You just sound so idealistic when you talk about things that you don't understand.
Well,
That's generally how idealism works.
Okay,
well,
that's
fair.
fair.
I'm always welcome to a conversation. We'll be distributing items and equipment, carrying out of here, but it's more or less going to be Shrewd and I hauling everything, if we're being honest. While we're going up, Lumio and Tercia, I'd ask that, swear, between the two of us, I'm sure we can do just fine. Lumio and Tercia, I'd ask that you watch Zamichi. Leon, if you could just
You mean our best friend, Zamichi? Of course we'll do that.
Aren't we going to have a bunch more people that we have to escort out of here, too?
Yes, but we have to get to them first.
Well, okay.
From there, we'll figure it out. That being said, the group's permission, I feel rather bad for your all and hers. Sama, I'm going to take the flag. Here, this emblem. Lumio, it'll serve you well, based on your talents that you've applied so far and shown in combat.
Thank you.
This should bolster your ability to enhance everyone. So, just for you, the armor itself, and he's going to walk over. Lady Geralt.
And Geralt will look up at you and say, yeah?
I'm giving this to you. And he'll hand her the +2 armor from the warlord. You and yours, so you don't return empty-handed.
He'll tell her what the armor is and what it does. Sans the flag he gave to Lumio.
Did you find any of the evidence that we are looking for? Anything to let us know that this whole thing wasn't just a flight of fancy?
Pull out a small dragon shard.
So they had them.
They did. I don't know where they were mining them from, but yes, we did find an abundance of them here. He'll tell her exactly where in the castle he found them.
If they had them, and no one else has been down here in a long time, we'll be able to find more. If I could, may I have one of those, the small shards? I know it's nothing in comparison.
He'll look back at everyone.
I know it's nothing in comparison, but that means more to my family right now than a suit of armor.
All right. Yeah, he'll give her one of the dragon shards he would have kept.
Okay. And she'll take it, and you see her, like, she kind of fumbles around in one of her pouches, and she produces a jeweler's eye and starts looking at the facets of the dragon shard. Oh, it does look clear, even after all this time. That's good. These are good quality, if nothing else.
They did appear so.
I'll
feeling 100%, but we are going to be heading out, and we want to make sure that, and he'll nod to Coralie and Frazidna, we're all going to be going together. We want to be making too many return trips. We're going to collect the rest of you people, and we'll see you all out of here.
And Coralie will will nod, and Frisidna will nod and sort of salute you and say, "Of course, we are ready to move out whenever you, Odo, or Lady Garrow wishes."
Right. Is there any last order of business anyone else has before we part?
We're
this place?
able to locate Spear. Yes.
Yes, I have it right here. Spear of Frosty MacGuffins.
A roachwood like,
I
please.
assume you'd like to hold on to it. Yes.
Please.
Yeah. And he'll hand over the frost spear.
He's gonna hold it. He's gonna take it gingerly and just kind of look it over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dandrid's not just gonna like yeet it at you. Like, oh yeah, here you go, toss.
Here
Here,
you go,
take
you
this
goblin
spear.
piece of crap.
Rolls an attack roll.
Yeah, I just sunder it. It'll be back in an hour. It'll be fine.
Let him cry first. That'll teach him.
Nobody tell him.
Goblins, don't cry. See what expects. Yeah, Shreet's gonna kind of just stare at it. Gonna sit down and stare at it.
Yeah, like this is the spear. It's not like you're holding. How can I put it? You're not holding Excalibur. It's not like whoever grasps this would be king or something. But this is the personal weapon of the last great warlord of the Empire. And like you can kind of feel it just thrum with power.
Like it's a powerful historical artifact, and he is just he's speechless. He's speechless that he's able to hold it in his hands.
Yeah.
Then I think like after a moment he would probably like spread out like a leather cloth, put it on top of it, and then open up his journal and start sketching and writing.
Okay.
And then after finishing that, he would gingerly wrap it up, and I don't think he would put it on his pack yet. I think he would just hang on to it.
Just hold it.
Like he's just kind of like holding it. He's like, I want to hold this for a while, kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got the frozen spear. Like this is the frozen spear. The one that's shown on all the flags and in all the history books and all of that. Like it's this spear. So you can take the notes that you want and sketch it down or write about its abilities. Did I tell you all its abilities last week? I believe I did.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we
yeah.
have them.
So, yeah, and you have it in hand. While that's going on, while you're studying that, what is everybody else doing?
I'm getting everything packed up for us to head on out.
Okay. And so, at this point, I believe would be when you all decide that you're going to go up to the second floor, because you wanted to try to yoink a scroll. So I will grab your characters over here. Actually, I don't need to copy them. I just need to move them, and I will move them to there. And then I will move them to. Zorak isn't actually with you, but this is so Justin can see what's happening.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So basically, you guys go over here, you go back upstairs, and then you try to figure out what you have to do to grab this scroll. And from what Dandarin says, like it looks like the trap doesn't trigger until you assume the bodies start. Like that's what they're able to put together. But when it triggers, it seems like it hits with a ton of cold damage because all of these bodies are just frozen in these like terrible positions. It looks like they got hit with every icicle coming from the wall or coming from the walls down here. And so, yeah, what happens is Dandarin opens the door and then Delian goes just inside and Dandarin has like his hand on Delian's collar and Delian just shoots his hook shot down, grabs the scroll, and then Dandarin, like even as the hook shot is pulling it back, Dandarin pulls him back through the door, and no ice happens. And you guys are able to successfully grab the scroll and move along. So
Nice.
you mentioned wanting to grab the scroll. Was there anything else that you wanted to get before you headed out?
Everything else would be meta knowledge, so no.
Yeah.
I had thought about it during the week, but I'd like to step back in the library and see if there was anything else in there. But that can be done outside of the.
Might as well do it real quick now. Like
Okay.
you're here, so once you are all in the library, and I imagine that if you're going to be ransacking the library, at some point do you speak with Gumgulka, or are you just like, we're just gonna sneak around and take some shit?
Yeah, I'm sure letting them know that Zurek would be a good thing for him. Although
Okay.
Gungukla does see all.
And when you go down to talk with him, he smiles at you, and he goes, "Koningstruct, Gumgulka having you pushing."
Thank you.
And he holds out 4 potions to you, and he goes, "Coming you late, waiting you too longing, but Gumgulka making, no needing to drinking."
It's an 18. Thank you. Thank you very much, Gungulka. I will, do you wish for your name to be spoken above ground?
And Gumgulka shrugs, and he goes, "Knowing above, important. Only important." And he kind of thumbs towards himself, and he goes, "Gumgulka."
Very good. I will speak of your tales, or of your legend.
Legend. And he kind of pats you on the head, and he goes, "Tiny idiot. Legend."
I appreciate you, and thank you for bearing the knowledge of this place.
And he hands you the 4 potions, and then goes back to doing something. It looks like he caught a Dolgar and is sort of trying to do what he can to plant like potatoes in the Dolgar. The Dolgar's dead, but you just see a new body in the gibbets that he keeps, and he's just kind of digging at it with a trowel. Because despite being a great alchemist, he's still a troll. But he hands you what you guys asked for 2 days ago, which is some potions of endure elements.
These will come in handy.
Yeah, we'll take them for the way out.
And can you tell me what you're looking for, and then I will tell you the appropriate knowledge check to roll.
Yeah. I would like to get information as much as they have on the lands to the deep south. I forget the name of it. I know the old lands where the native wild warforged come from.
Zindric?
That's it.
Yeah. Go ahead. That would be knowledge history or knowledge
bet it
geography. Either of those would work.
Okay. I'm going to roll that, and I'm going to add hero point, so +8.
Okay.
Because I really, really, really like to know. Click that, +8.
Well, sir. So, you, 1 second. So, here's the thing. The Warforged, like the original Warforged, happened in Zendrick around the Time of Giants. And the Time of Giants was, like, between, 80 to, like, 40,000 years ago. The time of the Dakani was about 5,000 years ago. So there's a large gap there. There's 7 times the gap there than there is between you and the Dakani Empire. But the Dakani were consummate colonizers and conquerors, and they ventured everywhere they could to basically take land and items and riches and that sort of stuff from anyone they could find. So you are able to find mention of it, but it's less like here's an entire treatise on Zendrick and more like think of it as like adventurers' journals, like captain's logs type thing, of sort of grand explorers who are doing things like, I'm going to sail around the entire continent. And then when that's done, it's like, now I'm just going to pick a direction and go. And so you find one that is it's a book, well, a series of books from a rather lucky and long-lived Dakani explorer who traveled not just to Zendrik, but also to Riedra and Arganessen. One sec. Noah, I keep hearing an echo of my voice from your mic.
Makes no sense. Should not be picking up anything.
It is.
When it's flicked up, it does not get input, but I will mute myself for a while.
Thanks. So yeah, you find out not just like this series of books is not just the continent to the south, but also the continent to the east and the continent to the southeast.
That's fantastic.
So this is not exactly, this is going to have a ton of information about Zendrik, but it is going to be sort of a world traveler's, how can I put it? It's less of a dedicated volume towards Zendrik and more of an encyclopedia on travel itself. If you have time to peruse this, this will give you a substantial bonus to any sort of knowledge geography roll that you need to make.
Excellent. Yeah.
And
thank you.
It's just, you're going to have to take this whole series and be able to have some time to flip through it, but you'll be able to like find what you need, and you know enough of the Dakani tongue at this point to just be able to do that.
I take some time to wrap them up real good, so that I can carry them efficiently, and real quick, give a bow and a thank you to the statues once again, expressing my gratitude for knowledge.
And yeah, they do not answer, but you do it before you grab books, and they will allow you to grab those books.
That's what I do. So,
all right.
That's all I needed from here. I mean, not all I needed, obviously, but yeah, enough. Shall we head to the surface or to Slapper?
Yes, let's go meet up with the others and collect them, and we'll head on out.
All right. So, yeah, you all, sort of, from there, head back over to the ground floor, grab Geralt, Corley, and Forsidna, and then start heading back out into Spearhold City.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, for anyone viewing this, I put in a mod that this is still very dark for the players, but for me, I can see the map as if it's lit, because it's cheating. I think this is the map where it's been the most obvious. If this looks weird, let me know, and I can always put it back. But for the players though, it should still be dark, and the only light is coming from you guys or any of the lamps that are over here. So
Yep.
Anyway,
As you describe.
So you all head down, and I'm assuming you do the whole thing where you're I'm going to go around the carroted column.
That's where we bypass that encounter.
Yeah, and then you
I assume someone stops me before I just walks into it.
So that probably does have to happen, because Tersh is just okay, so which way are we going? And somebody just yanks you off to this way. One sec. City Spearhold. And right. One of you goes and knocks on the door, and you see a warforged with kind of gigantic hands open the door and go, "Hello. It is you. Good. And you brought Geralt. Even better." And he will open the door a little wider and let you all in.
Right. Now,
We have a few things to go over. One, we are heading out forthwith, so please make sure everyone has the things gathered. And then we have Lumio. How many of those potions did we get?
4.
That's what I thought. We have 4 potions that we'd like to give to the 4 most vulnerable in your party. It will help them endure the cold.
The most vulnerable are likely the sick, those who will not be able to move much to build body heat. And as he says that, F.A. Nods, and she says, "Your doctor saw to much of the wounds, but some of them still can't quite walk. They're not at their peak, and the cold doesn't do much for healing. At best,
Then
what we're
Sharut-
making in here is just a dry heat and a lot of smoke. So if we can make them and construct a few Travois, Poissus and Slapper should be able to pull out the majority of them."
Very good then. Sharut, I'll leave you to distribute the potions as you're our doctor.
Sharut hands the potions to the people that can drink them by themselves, and then feeds those who can't. And after all of those have been distributed and drunk, he will start making a few travois.
Okay. Yeah, and there's these 4, and then with Geralt being able to help a little bit because she's been getting more constant medical care. And then there's enough sort of broken beds or things that have long pieces of wood that you can tie a couple of sheets around them and do what you can. It takes you guys a couple of hours to get them all together, but eventually you'll have a pretty good sort of like system set up of, these 2 people will carry this one and these 2 people will carry this one, and the people who can walk on their own will be walking on their own, and even if they're limping along. But yeah, you're able to set that up about as well as could be expected.
All right.
So
if everybody's secured, get on with it.
And there's a point as this is happening where you'll see Geralt sort of pull Simkis aside, and they go into one of the back rooms as you've moved everybody out of it, and as you're like moving people in here and getting them ready to travel, she like pulls them into the back, and you can kind of hear some murmured talking back there.
Dandrin will leave them to their privacy.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else in the party.
Lumio has no need of the information he believes that they're trying to convey to each other.
I think the only one who would, and Travis isn't here, but I think the Leon would be the only one who would listen.
I agree with that assessment, because Sharut is pretty much like working.
You know what?
On the.
You're probably right. Delian would listen in.
Boy, so if we look at the last 3 skill checks, that's 3 20s in a row.
Yeah.
Jinxed us.
Gonna be a good session.
I better get you guys
now we
fights so that luck goes away. So like they go in there and Delian goes, "I have to tie my shoe over here." And he does for a while. And then around the time when the talking stops, he goes, "Oh, and my other shoe's over here." And then they come back in. Lumio, as all this is going on and people are getting stuff ready, are you doing anything of note?
I think that Slapper and I had a good conversation the last time that we were here, so I would look to continue speaking with him and gaining commonality, common ground, understanding of one another.
So, the 2 of you are... Slapper is... Warforged are kind of tailor-made. And the body that you're in seems like it was made to might have been made to do something else, but is currently like bearing a bunch of accoutrements that would make it good at what it does. Slapper looks like he was made to like be a siege engine. And you'll see every now and then when he needs to sort of like break something apart, he doesn't use tools. He just kind of uses his gigantic ham hocks to just pull at it. And he, there's a point where he kind of has to stumble, or where he kind of stumbles and he reaches out with his hand to catch himself on the wall, and he just leaves an imprint in the brick. But yeah, if you're willing to help him carry people, he's more than happy to have somebody around who is maybe a little less clumsy than he is, even if he's far stronger than you are.
Yeah, I more than happily move into to fit that.
Cool. As the two of you are carrying kind of the last person out of this room, and he's constructing the last travois, Corley goes in to sort of assist with it, and she's kneeling down next to the two of you, and she's tying off the sort of the blankets that are going to be making the little bridge between the wood. And she says, Lumio, I have a favor of you to ask.
Oh, of certain.
The loss of Bowin has been eating at Fosida, and she is not close to many here, and she will not listen to me that this is just a part of doing business in Star Alaska. The coming days for her may be very hard, and due to the contract of keeping a watch on Geralt likely coming to an end when we are at the surface, I was wondering if you could offer her a bit of support. She, I believe, will need it.
I will do the extent of my power to do in lessening the burden she may bear. I will also attempt to provide balanced response, if at all possible.
And Corley nods, and she goes, that is good. Like I said, this was not her first command, but it was her first real loss while she was commanding. And as you are, and she kind of like looks to you and looks to Slapper, and she goes, as you are who you are, I believe that you may have a bit more experience with losing soldiers in the field. Like I said, the coming
Lumia
days...
looks at Slapper and agrees, just silently.
Yeah, and Slapper kind of does the same thing. Like, he's still tying his things. Like, he has these huge mitts that are just tying these little tiny intricate knots. But, like, he bobs his head. Like, he understands. And Corley says, with the coming days being rough, as there is more time to do nothing but think and fewer moments of adrenaline, I feel it will start to eat at her. She could use your support. You two already have something of a relationship, and she seems a bit standoffish with everyone else. So, if you can, I would appreciate it. But it is only a favor.
One I intend to assist with, if, again, within my power. It has been some time since people have relied on me, and I will attempt to shore her up.
She sort of like raises an eyebrow and looks to you, and she goes, you understand that you are the leader of this group, do you not? At least in times of war?
Point of contention for some time. But I believe that with one or two personalities being significantly changed, that may be more clear in the future.
And she kind of like shrugs a little bit and shakes her head, and she goes, Denderan and Zeract, they're loud. But those who are the loudest are not always the best leaders. They might have the ideas. They might be the advisors. But we have all seen who they listen to when the battle starts. And that person is you.
I see your point, and I appreciate it.
And
I will attempt to live up to that expectation.
Good. And she'll finish tying her knot and stand up and walk away. And pretty much as soon as she leaves, you see Slapper start untying her knot and tying it smaller and tighter. Like she was very distracted when she was talking.
Yeah.
And then the two of you can load the last person onto the travois and start to leave. And so, yeah, it takes a couple hours because you guys have to figure out who's actually strong enough to carry people. There's going to be a point where like there's nothing for it, and you have one travois that has like the 3 lightest people on it, and Slapper's just pulling all 3 of them because you just don't have enough people to carry them. But you are able to get everybody sort of together, and once you do, you are outside. You are at the dwelling, and you can start leading people out. As you're leading people out, there's the question of, are you going to go the way that you guys came in, which is down here, or are you going to go to the way that House Thrash came in, which is up here?
I believe that the route that we took in is less treacherous, but we've made the point a few times now that it may have closed up. And so I would probably send Delian and Shrewd to try to scout it out before dragging us all the way down there to find it's closed up and then come back.
Well, that's why Shrewd also makes bombs.
It's true.
So,
and if that's a reasonable approach, Shrewd, then please feel free to do so. That'll be our signal to move that direction.
I mean, he also has a signal whistle, so because it takes 15 minutes for him to make a bomb.
yeah.
So basically, he could just either use a single signal whistle or throw a rock. Throw a rock for move forward and 2 for stay back.
Yeah.
So, if you remember when Zaract first made you the path through the black ice, it took Zaract like an hour of explosions every 30 seconds. So if it has closed up,
Unbomb ain't gonna do it.
yeah, like this, if it has closed up and you want to bomb your way through, that's going to be a while.
Yeah.
But you can go check. Sharut, can you give me a stealth check? And I will have Delete also roll a stealth check. All right. You do better at the stealth than Delian does. But yeah, you see Delian sort of like swipe a hand through his own shadow and then push it to his eyes and pull down, and his eyes just go completely black. And then he drops a sphere of darkness on the two of you and says, "All right, let's go." And under an orb of darkness that the two of you can see through, you can go all the way down to here, and you see that the tunnel it's less open than it was a few days ago, like 3 days ago, when you guys all, came through, but it's not closed. So, like, basically, Zaract made a 10-foot wide path, and what you have now is about a 5-foot wide path. And as you're walking back, you see a figure with a glowing sword and blue eyes just destroying something up here. And then you see it disappear inside of a building.
That was unsettling. What was that?
Yeah, how'd you get over here?
How'd you get over there, Lumio?
Lumio.
How did I get over here?
And Scarecrow, you were there.
You were there, and you were there.
So I assume that we get some kind of signal from Sharut.
Yeah, so basically, Sharut throws a rock back and says, "Yeah, we're good to go this way."
No, I mean, you went to the other end of the city. You don't throw a rock back. You go back and you tell them.
But Sharut is so swole, he just throws a
Sharut
rock
just
back.
Sharut
He
is
yeets
not
it, and it
swole.
smacks Lumio straight in the head.
That is hundreds of feet.
Lumio dies.
No, you do not. You do not throw a rock from here to here. You do not.
Out with that attitude.
What if I use a
Taking
hero
poking
point?
hurler class
I know that we're
Poking
supposed to
hurler
yes
class
and
levels.
things, and I want to say yes, you try to do it, and no, it doesn't work.
All right. Yeah, they head back and inform the group that we're good to go. We should be able to squeeze through the tunnel. If not, Sharut suggests, actually, if cannot squeeze, Lumio can use fire, yes?
Something akin to it, yes.
Then we can make through. Think better than alternative.
And
Excellent.
when you, as the two of you are talking, Poasis and Fa and Slapper will say, we're probably led by Poasis, who's the guy who's still got some of his tools. And he goes, well, I don't have everything I'd need, but if necessary, me and Fa and Slapper, we can probably widen a tunnel. Not fast, but fast enough if something gets stuck, or if it's just a tight squeeze. I've still got my picks. And,
Material that you would be clawing through is magical in nature, from the plane of Rhesia, if you're aware of them. Plane of eternal ice, and it will steal from you your memories. Should it touch you? Not
well,
the best to be tunneling through.
There's, and he kind of like looks around for a second and hangs his head a little bit and just holds his pick out to you. Like, do you want it?
Hold on to it. We should be out shortly. I shouldn't think it took us too long anyway.
All right. It's always there. If we get out of it, and or if it could get us out of here, I'm not opposed to having fewer memories of this place. So,
somewhat delightful sentiment, actually. Let's embark.
Sharut, disagree. Oh, Reginald, I disagree.
We head out.
All right. So you all head out, and you head to a Dawson Ice Cave.
Ice Caven.
Icen Caven. Can I get from someone a survival check, please?
And a bagel.
It doesn't matter who.
Would Sharut not remember just the way through?
You guys followed a very specific trail that is not here at the moment. Because there has been, like, growth and what. Jesus, really?
Out now!
Really? And you're like, I can't find the trail. And then you go, we'll go that way. And then you go, oh, there's the trail. And it's just
A
like...
secret door, right here, you say.
It's just
That's
5 feet
preposterous.
from where you thought it was.
Well, what do you know?
It's crumbs. It's crumbs of like the lemon cake that Sharut bought from the.
Preserved in the cold.
I'll have my fat goblins.
You start finding a trail of pennies. They're just frozen pennies in the ice. Like, your lights pick them up, and you realize that Dandarin, who had no memories and was lost in a tunnel, started leaving himself a trail because he didn't know what was going on.
I remember doing that.
I remember doing that, and I remember why I did it, but I don't remember feeling what I did when I did it.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. Sharut, you also realize that there's nothing else in this tunnel that has used it recently. You remember seeing scratches, these like huge kind of like two-toed feet as you were leaving, but you don't see those at all. It looks like this tunnel has been abandoned, at least, or no one else has scratched anything under the ice for the 3 days that you've been here. Likely because there was a juvenile Umber Hulk and you all brutally killed it on the bridge.
Wow. As we make our way through these tunnels, Sharut is going to mark key junctures.
Yeah.
With something in Goblin.
Okay.
Pointing in the correct direction.
Sure thing. Can you give me a dex check?
Yes.
Or a
yes,
reflex save is probably better for this.
be under. There we go. Oh wait, no, that's Will. That's the wrong one.
That is Will. That is the wrong one. Okay, yeah. You're managing to like take some of your little chisels or whatever, and you're like marking the things that you can. Hopefully, it doesn't get too frosted over, and you manage to do this without touching any of the black ice that just sort of blends into everything around here. And then you all make it into the one sec. You all make it into the
Darkness.
into the darkness. Wow, that's weird. Let's try a different map. Also weird. Super neat. So
Just check the stream.
yeah, some things have gone on here, and I don't know what it is.
Huh.
Yeah, that's well,
He's old. Is it time for a break?
I did it.
Should we start?
no.
Technical difficulties?
It's fine. I will just instead put you all to Starlasker City.
Baby.
There you go. And you should all see that now, correct?
Yes.
Some weird guy over here.
Oh, he's asking if we want to catch these hands.
We'll just get rid of that guy. We don't need him.
Yeah.
The war crimes wagon. Oh, I've
Who's
missed
this
you.
guy?
The old war crimes wagon. Yep, Zarak's not there either. Hopefully this map does not require token vision.
No, I'm good.
And if it do,
Well, I mean, now that you mention it.
And fuck you. Yeah, I know. I know. Why does this keep changing? Fucking stop changing.
what? Keep changing.
Oh, it's second. I need to check a thing. I think I know what the problem is. I'm just working on my sheet.
Oh, gotcha. Give me just a second here. Some tokens are not doing a thing that they should be doing, and I realized that I was updating it by the token and not by the character sheet. Like a mook. Okay. So, you all you make it out of the tunnels. Sharut marks, a good amount of the path. It would take a keen eye to see it, and given that the ice is filling in, you don't know how long it'll last, but you've done what you can. And you make it back into the catacombs, which you know to be the entryway. You make it out of the catacombs and into the actual Church of the Sovereign Host here. And in the Church of the Sovereign Host, people react with a wee bit of panic when a huge group of people come out of the door to the catacombs. Because not that many people went in, and those that did go in, they went in like 3 days ago. So that's weird. Like 8 people went in and more than 20 just came out. It's not like there's an actual alarm going on, but you do see one of the acolytes kind of drop the plate that they were holding and sort of run off, and then the priest that Dalian originally talked to comes out, and still dressed in the robes, but also has a flail kind of hanging off to his side that he's not threatening you with, but he is holding. And he says,
Steps forward.
he says,
Our apologies for the sudden commotion.
It was 3 days. We thought you were dead. I thought you didn't listen to any of the warnings and that you were dead.
Well, we didn't listen to the warnings per se, but we were having a bit of an extended service. People have been gathering for a few days.
And he goes, you'll excuse me for this, but I do have to check given the circumstances. And he reaches like up to his collar, and he pulls a chain out with the septagram symbol of the sovereign host, and he holds it forward. And he says, "Begone." And
Fangs drop out of Lumio's mouth. He turns into a bat and flies away.
There's like a brief flash of magic, and nothing happens because you don't have any undead with you.
Root simply just goes.
Rude?
Shurut
No, it's reasonable.
Shurut medic can tell if undead.
I literally just got here and you're telling me to leave.
And he goes, well, if you're a medic and you can tell if people are undead, and you went down there seeking to rescue some people, it's very nice that you're a medic, but it also means that you're a liar, because this is not what I was told you were doing here. Don't speak to me as if I'm an idiot when you're untrustworthy.
To be fair, not speak to Shurut. Spoke to Dillian.
And
he just starts escorting the rest.
Let's get going.
And Dillian
He
goes,
starts escorting the wounded out.
and Dillian
He's
goes,
not having it.
Dillian says, and if we're being fair, I might have an uncle down there. I've got a lot of uncles. I just, okay, I lied, but, weh. And the priest looks at all of you and says, get out, all of you.
Hey, Chief. All right, everybody.
And you guys just start to continue dragging them out. And when you get further out, Geralt says, we're going to need a couple of taxis. Look for Ori and rickshaws. They should be able to get us back to our dig site.
Hold on. Might be able to lessen the load, as it were. How far away is it? Because it's our hotel where I did pay for the wagons parking for like a week. It's like right. Where was it?
It's over here. And you did not pay for a week of it.
I didn't pay for the hotel for a week.
Yeah.
But I remember we did pay for like parking for a few days, so that specifically to do exactly what we're doing right now, which is disappear, reappear after a few days, and head out.
So in the time that it took you to go there and get the wagon and come back, you could also just flag down a taxi.
Yeah, I guess that's reasonable.
You're basically saying, hey, I don't need to call a taxi. Let me just jog somewhere and drive back for 45 minutes. You could, but why?
All right. We'll get the taxis.
This is the war crimes wagon. Let's just let him have it.
I miss my wagon.
So yeah.
My horses. And my donkeys.
Eventually, you guys are able to see a couple of carriages, and they have the kind of the Orion crest on the side. And when one of you flags them down, Geralt can step forward and show papers. And she says, Geralt the Thrashk, I need transport for 20 to a dig site that we've set up in the northwest part of town. Double rates. Let's go quickly. And the man nods and he says, let me gather a few people and we'll be back. And he sort of rides down quickly, down the road, and then he comes back in about 2 minutes with some additional taxis. And all of you are able to pile in. And once you pile in, everybody moves over to where the dig site was. And I will delete the other wagon crew. Actually, hold on. I'll just move them. There we go.
And now there is only one wagon.
Now there is only one wagon. The nice wagon is gone.
Yeah, war crimes wagon had to eat.
Wow.
And she leads the wagon crew to the dig site, and you see it. It's Zach sounds super excited about the dig site, and I'm also excited, Zach. We've been in the dungeon.
He didn't enter the room. That was from the hallway.
Jesus.
Go back to the dig site, guys! I told you what happened.
We went out to eat this morning, and there was a kid there that was trying to explain Magic the Gathering to his grandmother, and he used the best description I have ever heard of for this game. And it was, she was like, I don't understand. And he goes,
basically, magic is a game about numbers pretending to be dragons.
I love that.
And I was
That's
like, holy
fantastic.
shit, that is brilliant.
Good.
And he goes, yeah, there's dragons and knights and all this stuff, but really you just care about numbers. It's just simple arithmetic. And I was like, what the fuck? You're like 10.
Your 10-year-old voice is on point, by the way, John.
Oh my god. Anyway, this is the same building, I believe Sharut and Dandrin and Delian, too, were like, okay, we can just sneak in and pretend to be part of the dig squad. It's got the big fence around it. It looks like it's made from about the middle of the second floor down of Old Dakani ruins, and then from the middle of the second floor up to the third floor is like newer construction. It's gated off, and you see that there's a lot of tents there, and it looks to be relatively calm until the wagons stop and Geralt gets out. And then you see that thing is just moving. There's people everywhere. And Geralt says, we need to get the wounded in, and we need to get them treatment. But I don't know how long you'll be in the city, but please stop by before you leave. I'm going to file a proper report, and one of the benefits of being a newer house is that we are more willing to help those who help us. And her and Poisas and F.A. and Slapper, they start, getting the wounded down, and you see that there's at least 60 or 70 people here who are willing to, make sure that these people get handled correctly. You guys don't have to do any work with this. And when you're done, you can kind of consolidate into one taxi. And she says, she goes and speaks to the driver, and she just hands him a bag of coin. And she says, take them wherever they want. Keep the rest. And the Orion taxi driver just kind of nods, tips his hat, and as she walks away, he looks back at the group and says, well, you heard her. Where are we going?
Oh, good sir, we are heading to the finest establishment, and I forgot the name of the hotel, but
It was the Rye Smile.
we are heading to the Rye Smile, good sir.
All right then. Well, let's take you there. Shouldn't be too long. And you guys start heading to the Rye Smile, and the taxi driver makes it pretty quick. It's a Orion wagon with Vidalis animals, so it rides smooth. There's not really any bumps in the road that can shake it and make the ride uncomfortable, and you just get there, and it's like, man, this is a nice wagon. And when you get there,
Makes notes.
as you pull into the sort of the roundabout, that's the parking space for the Rye Smile, you see a more efficient but less nice wagon that appears to have a trio of men guarding it, as well as some sort of device that's currently locked two of the wheels. And the driver says, here you are, Rye Smile. No need to tip. It's all taken care of.
It's nice. I tip him 2 gold.
And he kind of tips his hat to you and says, well then, thank you, sir.
What?
Thank you. Tip is to ensure proper service. It's a gesture you give to. Dandrin explains tips.
So the funny thing, I was listening to the last Rye Smile episode before this, and you explained tips to Sharut in that one too.
Yeah.
Bill doesn't understand him. Doesn't get it. Doesn't get it.
Oh no, Sharut.
You went through the whole talk, and I was just like, huh.
I knew it was coming.
So, What would you all like to do? You're back at your place o' business.
I go to the men guarding my wagon.
And as you start to approach, one of them kind of nods and tips his hat a little bit and says, "Hello, sir."
Oh, I see you all have everything well in hand here. Good job, good job.
We do. And he looks to you and like sees that you're sort of looking at the wagon and says, "You would be the owner then?"
Indeed I am, sir.
Well, sorry for the lock on the wheels. We can take it off as soon as somebody clears things up with the front desk.
Certainly, certainly. Give me but a moment. Here goes into the front desk. Lumio, would you kindly follow with me?
Oh, absolutely. Lumia
much.
follows.
In the lobby, this is the same lobby that you guys were in before, but I know that was about 2 months ago, so let me describe it for you again. This is, for most of you who don't come from very rich families, this is a pretty nice hotel. For Tertia, this is probably the lowest rung hotel that you would have ever stayed in pre the morning. But, it's nice. It's got marble floors. There's, nice velvet couches. There's weird, artistic choices, like velvet on some of the columns. But it is...
Well, they gotta cover up the marble somehow.
Yeah, you got to cover up that marble somehow. Marble, that's stone, and stone is dirt, and you shouldn't have dirt showing. That's how it is. But it's a fairly nice hotel. Sort of, lower upper to upper middle class. It is run mostly by elves. You see the occasional Koravar, but for the most part, it's all elves. And there's a number of people, this is one of those hotels that somebody might actually stop by just to eat in the restaurant or something like that. There's a number of people in the lobby, including Quintus. Quintus, you see the people walking in that you have been sort of led to believe are staying here. There is you see the ones that you have been, about 2/3 of the group that you have managed to gain some information on. So you see the dwarven Sornath brother of the Morholds. You see Lumio. You see Delian, who is apparently still with the group despite being hired for the other wagon. You see Sharut. You do not see Zaract or Ringer. You do not see Zaract or the half-elf known as Liar. However, you do spot somebody who you probably know from rumors, if from nothing else. You don't necessarily know her first name, but someone of your standing would instantly recognize the Earwerbow's mantle that she is wearing. Mm-hmm. It's only ever worn by the head of the Earwerbow's house of Seer. So that's gotta be a noble. It's either a noble or somebody who got real lucky scavenging.
Quintus has been just kind of cooling his heels, leafing through some books and kind of his own internal memory of information that he's gathered. And so as they arrive, he stands, closes the book, and places it carefully into a pouch at his side, and approaches and says, "Ah, you're finally here. It's been some time. I have to say, it's we weren't sure when you would be back."
Ah, yes. And you are...
Quintus. My name is Quintus. I know that you are one of the local Sornaths, or at least have family here, but we haven't made proper introductions as such. Though I am aware of most of you. And he turns...
You have us at a disadvantage.
Quite, yes. That is indeed the case. He turns to Tertia first and says, "Greetings to you. My name is Quintus Corlin Adradar, in service to the nation of Seer. And he bows a bit, an appropriate amount. And he says, I don't believe that I've come across you in my search thus far. Who do I have the pleasure of addressing?
Marcia just kind of collects herself. It's been a very long time since she has been greeted that way. My name is Tirsia Irwobos. You say you're in service of Seer. In what way?
I was sent here by the king, specifically
wonderful.
to meet with you. Well, them, but since you seem to be either patrons of or associated with, I would assume patron, of course.
Unfortunately, more like rescued by.
Even better. I'd be ashamed to lose any of the noble houses, and clearly speaks to the capability of those who have found you. Regardless, I'm pleased to make your acquaintance, and I did recognize the sign of your house initially, but Tercia, it is a pleasure to meet you. And he kind of turns to the rest of them and says, "Yes, I've been sent to monitor and update your progress. I believe the situation you were dealing with is something fairly diplomatic, and well, my skills do lie in that area. I don't mean to be brash about it or too forward, but it does sound like you could use someone of my specialty."
Perhaps, Lumio.
Pardon me, but you did say you were in the service of the king. Has Prince Orgev undergone a title change?
Slip of the tongue. My apologies. With his mother very likely dead, Prince is very likely a term that should be examined, but I'll follow with his preferred nomenclature at this point.
Indeed. I had worried that some great change had been undergone since last we spoke with him.
No, not as such, although I have been on the road for several days as well, in attempting to catch up with you.
Excellent. We were just endeavoring to speak with the front desk about the state of our wagon in order to make a return trip on the morrow.
There's a point as you're talking, Lumio, where Forsidna will kind of like not stop you, but when Quintus goes to speak, she kind of holds up a hand and then leans close to you and whispers in your ear. And she says, "Ask for his identification before you tell him anything of value. This is a city where no one can be trusted."
Lumio gives that head nod that is to a person behind him. Excuse me, Quintus, I believe you said your name was. May
Yes.
we examine your identification?
Oh, certainly, of course. And Quintus withdraws from his pouch, the same one that the book went into, a very proper, if old Siren style, a packet of identification papers, and he hands it over.
Lumio skims it, looking for specifically the identification that it's from the, or at least overseen by the gnomes that he got his from, and then that it has any connection to Orgrev and his retinue.
So, yes, it is. It does have the symbol of House Civis. It also lists him as working like it would list his date of birth as being a long time ago. Like he was born like very long. Justin, was it before the start of the last war?
Yeah.
Yes, he was born before the start of the last war, and it states that he is a diplomatic envoy for the rightful queen of Seer, Mishan Irwinarn.
Who Lumio probably would know is not even the previous.
No,
Right.
She was the queen at the outbreak of the last war.
Neat. Well, that is a fascinating duration of your service.
Yes, it's, well, of course, complicated, but nevertheless, you can see that papers do indeed match.
Indeed.
I trust the rest of you also have your own papers?
Yes. And Lumio will, with returning yours, provide his own.
And
Yeah.
yeah, the date of Lumios, it looks like he got them about 3 days ago.
Quintus like pauses for a moment and says, newly minted. And then, like having reviewed, closes his hands then back, and then looks expectantly at the rest of the group.
Dandrin has his out and ready.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And DeLeon will pull out a sort of quartet and goes, this one, and hand them to you.
Like, Quintus looks at Dandrin's and he says, clearly you're one of the Soranath. He gives it just a cursory glance. He's like, the family resemblance is extremely clear, at least to some of them. No, this is...
Take after my mother.
Yes, it's in the jawline. I can see it well.
Yeah, it's not clear at all. He looks nothing like a typical Soranath. It would be like you're used to seeing nothing but John Cena, and then like fucking Bill Burr hands you an ID and goes like, "Yep, I'm of the John Cenas." And it's like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. We can see you.
Quintus is being polite. If nothing else, he's got enough of an ID that he did, especially with the information gathering that he's done around the Sornath businesses. He knows what to expect. So it's more of a polite white lie. In seeing Dillian's, he kind of he takes it and he says, "Well, this certainly is an identification paper," and just hands it back without opening it.
And he goes, "It is."
Sharut is, his shoulders are just kind of slumped, and he takes off his backpack and spends like 5 minutes rooting through it to find his identification papers.
He is
And he like
drops to the ground with a thud that shakes the earth.
he very aggressively, after like finding the little crevice that it's in, he very aggressively just outstends his arm and says, "Here, useless paper."
Well, on the contrary, this is the foundation of our civilization, to some degree. Thank you. And he'll take it and review it, paying particular attention to this one. I'm afraid that I've been away for some time, and your people seem to have come up a ways since last I was here. Still good. Good to see that we're continuing to embrace diversity and bring in cultures outside of our own. Truly, this is the melting pot of Seared, and is what makes us great.
Just kind of raises an eyebrow and takes the passport back and drops it back in his backpack. Yeah.
Apologies on Sharut's behalf. He hasn't studied Syrian history quite so deeply.
Well, in that respect, isn't it really the history of all nations? Still, I think that making sure that you embrace the trappings of civilization is important. Something to both to quell fears from those unfamiliar with you, but also to really demonstrate an interest in integrating and becoming part of the cultures that you surrounded with. Taking those first initial steps towards integration is important. Something that I respect. So, though it is clear you're not comfortable with them yet, know that that is an important milestone and one that you should be proud of. And Quintus kind of like are the mercenary sisters displaying their house sign symbols?
Oh yeah,
like
definitely. Like
okay.
it is very easy to see that they are both members of House Denith. Like they have it on the tabard, they have it on the shield. Like they are both proudly wearing the symbols.
He just gives them a nod and doesn't ask for their identification.
And they both do the same. One of them looks like when you give them the nod, she sort of like stands there, very, very tall, very straight, same sort of serious nod. The other one, not so much. The other one also looks a little pale. Not sickly, just a little pale. And doesn't seem to carry the same like level of, be serious and show respect sort of thing. But they're both clearly marked as members of House Deneath.
As far as Quintus is concerned, if they were erroneously representing themselves, that's a matter for Deneath to settle internally. And also, given their likely professions, that's the word I was looking for. Given their likely professions, like he's not engaging them on a like person-to-person level. He's like, oh, okay, so you're the hired help. That's cool. Like I appreciate people. You're definitely people in that respect, but until we're having a legitimate conversation or are working through negotiation, we're fine. Like you're just somebody I'm seeing on the street. You're the hired help. Excellent. Well, my understanding is that you had undertaken to deliver some vital information to the embassy, which I had come to follow up on, and then vanished for the last 3 days, which, in the vein of trying to determine the status of those negotiations, following up, seems, well, a little careless. So I've been doing footwork while you've been absent to ensure that our communication lines stay open and that we are kept in the loop should new information arise regarding that situation.
Indeed.
What a wonderfully public lobby we're standing in, where anyone could overhear us.
Indeed. Speaking of which, I go to the front desk.
Okay.
Quintus turns to Lumio as he says that, and he says, "That's why we couch our words carefully, sir, as I have done here. Regardless,
And what are they talking about?
it doesn't matter if people know that you're on some important business, because everybody believes their business to be important."
And Delian goes, he's some sort of Syrian diplomat, and I think he's been sent to check up on everyone, or has just decided to. It's hard to tell with diplomats. They never actually say what they're thinking. They just sort of say what you sort of want to hear, and you have to parse through it. It's a lot easier to just pickpocket them and see what they actually know.
It's a good idea. You should do that.
I'd advise you not to.
Yeah, I mean, after saying it's a lot easier to pickpocket them, it's always a bad idea to go ahead and do it.
Given that I'm working directly with Prince Orgiv, that might be misconstrued.
He would have given it back after I told him to.
Yeah, you know me. And he just looks at you and like, and then Dandrid, you go to the front desk. There's a pair of elves manning the front desk, and as you step up, the man will step away, and an elven woman will step up and say, "Hello, greetings."
Yes, hello. I am here about a wagon.
Ah, yes. There have been some complications with things, and we were forced to, take your wagon as collateral until payment could be made. I apologize for the inconvenience, but
I understand.
Your group left many things in our care, and some rooms still occupied and did not pay for them.
See.
So
3 days?
Yes, it was 3 days for the 4 rooms, and by the end of the second day, we did not know if we would be able to get the cash from you. So the wagon was taken as collateral.
See. Do you take gems?
We would need to get an appraiser from the bank, but if they're marked and already appraised, we will take them.
Quick question, John Eric. We do have some gems. The gems we have, the opals and the garnets, are those already appraised?
Some of them have been like Karnathi, or sorry, not Karnathi. They have been marked by House Kundarak, and they are like usable as legal tender. Like if this is a garnet that has their mark on it, and it says it's like, that means it's a Kundarak garnet and it's worth X amount.
Because I believe the opal is what we got as a reward.
Yeah, I think so.
At the end of that. Yeah, so that one I believe was marked. So, what is the total we are looking at here?
Well, the 4 rooms at for the total for the 4 rooms at 3 days would be 384 Galifar.
All right.
And if you wanted to continue your stay tonight, we would need an additional 128 on top of that, which would, of course, bring the total to 512.
I see. For now, we will go ahead and pay up what was due. He'll pull out the black opal and 3 garnets, and then he'll put a couple platinum in. So the black opal, which should be marked, is 300 GP.
Okay.
Then the 3 garnets are 25 GP each.
Okay.
And then he will pay. He'll just round it up with. He'll leave tip 2, so he'll do 2 platinum and 5 gold.
Okay. So yeah, you put all that up, and she'll take them and basically do cursory checks on everything. And once she does, she will say, "1 moment, please," and I will put these into our safe, and then I will give the order to the men outside to begin removing the lock.
Of course. And I do apologize for the inconvenience. We hadn't intended to be away as long as we were.
It's understandable. These sort of things happen in Star Alaska, and so long as you were able to pay your way after the fact, we are fine with it. And if you're not, your goods will just go up for auction. As it is only 9th bell in the morning, you do have until 10:30 the 10th bell until your room is officially no longer yours. So if you need to move more of your belongings out of it, that is understandable. And she walks away with the gems and the coinage to put it into a safe and do what she said.
Yeah. And while she's doing that, I'll just inform everyone that, hey, we've got a bit of time to load everything up into the wagon. They're going to unlock it for us. Quintus, you're welcome to come with us. We've got a bit of business here in the city, and then I think we can all just go home. Once you've been caught up to speed with Sharut, Lumio, one of you all went with Zarak when she went to the embassy.
Indeed. We will speak with the ambassador prior to leaving, but...
Yes.
As would be wise.
And we should probably check in with House Rask as well.
Yes, so business is clean out our rooms, grab the wagon, sell all the things that we brought with us.
Okay.
Want to see my cousins, and then we'll hit the ambassador and House Thrask and be on our way.
All right. Ambassador Heist, go. No.
We knock out the ambassador and throw him in the wagon.
No. So...
No, that's not how that works.
Quintus, throw him in the wagon.
Yeah, I believe it was last time.
Like diplomacy, yes.
Last time it was, of course, the guards had their room. Delian was staying in a room with Zarak. Sharut was staying in a room with Dandarin, and Lumio was staying in a room with Ringer. So yeah, you all go to your room, and they are completely as you left them, except for you, Lumio. And when you go to your room, it looks like it has been tossed. The door is still locked, so you have to get the key from the front and put the key in to open it. But the room looks like it has just been wrecked. You see some blood on the ground. You see the mattress is off the bed. You see a number of pins stuck into the dresser and the bed and the wall and the door. You see this huge fist-shaped mark in the dresser. It looks like somebody big just took a punch out of it. And in the middle of the room, in the middle of the floor, is a note. There's a piece of paper with a knife sticking it into the ground. And on it says, "Read aloud."
Lumio takes the paper.
Okay.
And steps out into the hallway.
Okay. And when you step out into the hallway, it looks like Forsidna and Corley are already done packing up their stuff. They have basically just shouldered a pack real quick. Mm-hmm. And they are closing the door as they step back out.
I have a slight problem. and Lumio shows them the paper. And I'm not sure that this is the note they want me to read aloud.
And Corley looks to you and says, "You should probably get the others." And will sort of look past you into the room and say, "It looks like something happened."
The door was locked when I arrived, which means someone was paid to open it. But yes, we shall engage the others. Walks over to. I assume our rooms are somewhat near each other. So
Yeah, you guys are
next.
all relatively close to each other in the hallway. Like, it's basically 2 rooms on one side and then 2 rooms on the other.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Dandarin and Sharut, you guys are in your room. Your room is probably a bit messier than the other ones because you have Sharut with you, and Sharut carries too much. You also have Dandarin with you, and Dandarin is the one who actually bought all of the things that his character has. And it's a long list. It's just a really long list. So the 2 of you are like packing up your stuff. Zarakt carried everything on her at all times, and Delian didn't have much because he's generally pretty content to either take what he needs or sort of buy it, use it, and just ditch it somewhere. So pretty much he grabs a couple of spare little mechanical parts that he had been leaving around, some little pieces of artifice, and then he's back out in the hallway going, "What's up?"
It's also
Trouble.
quietly joins.
Trouble in the form of a note here.
Oh,
Yes,
does it
I
say
found it.
anything particular.
I have no idea yet, as it says to read it aloud.
That's a trap.
Yes. I also fear that I have no other choice but to do so.
Why?
Have you seen Ringer in some time?
Oh. But Ringner also departed with us before we went down. I now recall that.
Yes. Ringer was my roommate, and this appeared in my room with quite a lot of damage and blood.
Read, please.
Dandarin's going to take a safe step back.
Indeed.
Ian, what's a ringer?
So Dandarin's like, nah.
He'll listen, but he's going to listen from a safe... He's assuming it's going to explode.
Okay.
Trap me in some kind of contract.
Sharut is still packing. He's not moving at all.
Yeah. Delian will probably do the same thing that Dandarin is, where he's gonna like just back up a little bit and then probably put himself behind Dandarin, because that seems to be the safest spot. Dandarin's real wide and Delian's not.
Dandarin's also going to casually lean on his tower shield taking cover.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Lumia, what do you do?
I open the note and look over it. Is there any compulsion to read it aloud?
No.
He begins to read it aloud quietly. Sirens, he's mine now. Out of respect for your prince, I'll let the rest of you live. Understand that you have no place in my new home, and if you interfere with the mourner's business again, I will end you quickly and violently after forcing you to watch as I end those around you slowly. His grammar is atrocious. And with great care. Go home, do not return. Long live Seer. HC PS Whoopsa return.
And
What the hell does any of that mean?
The person watching can leave.
Makes more sense.
so as the two of you are discussing, what does that mean? Corley takes a step back and she goes, "Well, it's been interesting. Thank you both." And you see what looks like a spirit step out of the body, and the body just instantly blackens and turns to this sludge that just kind of leaks out of the armor.
Fucking knew it. Fucking knew
The
it.
spirit stands there looking at the two of you, well, at the group of you gathered, and says, "It's in your best interest to listen to him. You don't know what he's like."
Fool,
And then
it's what it seems.
And then it steps backwards through the wall and disappears.
Sharut will immediately go to the body and realize that he's
And
too late.
you hear Forsidna just shrieking. Like, as you start to move towards the body, you get bodied aside. And Forsidna runs over to the pile of gear and black goo. And you just hear her going, "No, no, not again. Not both of them."
Dandrin will rush to basically console as best he can.
Lumio's gonna step in.
How?
It was a clutch that he had around her neck the entire time.
How long has this not been my cousin?
That is not ours to say. One would guess, since the wound.
And she's grabbing at the clothing and at the gear, but there's no person in it. It's just that same sort of decayed sludge that you all saw a while back, and there's just nothing to it, nothing making it hold its shape. And she just breaks down. She's on her knees grabbing at this tabard and at the armor and the shield, and just begins to weep.
Sharut's gonna still try and examine what's left of the body.
Dandrin's just going to do the, basically hold her and be a shoulder for her to cry on.
Sharut, if you would like to give me a heal check, go ahead and give me a heal check.
Can Lumio give an Arcana check to get some bearing on it?
You can give me an Arcana check, sure.
I'd like to spend my last hero point on this as well.
Tercy is just like, what the fuck is happening around you people?
Okay, so, in order, Sharut, there's no body. Like, there's nothing. There's no body. There's not even bones. You are seeing a bunch of black sludge that looks like it was sort of holding the shape of a person, and now it's not. If you had to guess, and you have to guess because this is kind of beyond your kin, but if you had to guess, this is years of decay in the span of seconds. And I mean, like, but everything's decaying. The bones, the organs, the hair, everything. Just all at the same time. Just blah. Lumio, with your role, you have the feeling that Corley was an animated corpse who was inhabited by the thing that stepped out of her. And as soon as the thing stepped out of her, it rapidly accelerated the decay. This is powerful necromancy magic. And yeah, that's what you think happened. Was just like there was some sort of necromancy tether that was keeping it there, and as soon as that tether was cut, the backlash of that tether being cut just aged the body years and years and years.
There was a sigil on her armor, right? There was like a sigil on her armor for her house.
Yeah, it's she on her tabard, she's got the House Denise symbol. Yeah.
Is it like a part of the tabard, or can it be taken off the tabard?
It's on the tabard. What you see is like she's wearing a tabard, and she's wearing the tabard over a robe. Or sorry, she's wearing the tabard over a gambeson, and under the gambeson she had a robe. And it was that magical robe that you guys pulled off a body about a week ago.
Shrewd will take the tabard and give it to Frasidna.
I mean, Frasidna's already grabbing it. Like,
Yeah.
she's clutching at the thing that you're trying to examine.
I rip it out of her hands and then hand it back to her.
This is my gift to you.
No take, only give.
No take, only give.
He's gonna look at Frasidna and say, Sharut, understand. Difficult. But this is path of warrior.
It's just something, Sharut, but it's kind of foul magic.
It's not death on a battlefield, though that is where she likely fell. It seems she had her wits about her, cared for us deeply, while it was her time.
Passed in service. Still passed as warrior. Shrewd leaves it at that.
Corley cared for us, I think. But whatever that thing was, it was all just an act. It's no better than some blasted goddamn changeling Just lies. Just lies and betrayal. I will fucking kill her.
Well,
Whatever it
time.
is.
We should take
I
time
promise
to
you
mourn
this.
shortly.
You guys continue
Do you wanna
to
go?
wait the exact same amount of time.
Every time. Every
No,
time.
you.
I would urge us to go forward at this time. There will be a time for mourning in a more respectable place. This does not seem like the place she would like us to observe her passing.
So we'll, giving Forsidna time to take what she's going to take. We'll get prepped and we'll head out.
Yeah. She'll eventually sort of empty out Corley's backpack, which is like it's just packed with nonsense. There's like stuff in there to stuff it. And she empties it out, and then she does what she can to sort of clean the sludge off the backpack. The sludge off the belongings, and then packs them with some care and says, "I will have to go to my chapter house and explain what has happened."
We'll go with you.
I also will go with you.
And
But we'll give you a bit of time first to collect yourself as much as you can.
And yeah, she waits while the rest of you sort of clean up, and she's just standing there with her head down and just alternating between, like, you can see it from the side, like Lumia, when you look at her. It's that look of like pure rage, and then it's followed by like just crushing sadness. And then after she sniffles and cries for a bit, you see her fist will flex, and her hand will kind of go to her sheathed sword, and she doesn't draw it, but she's just resting it there, and she'll take a couple of breaths like she's just mad, and then a couple minutes later she's crying again.
Forsidna, would you join me at the cart?
Of course. Anything to be away from whatever that was that had my cousin.
Indeed. Dandarin, if you would please help us ensure that we depart in short order. We don't need to linger in this place.
I will collect everyone together.
Mm-hmm.
We will head out on the war crimes wagon.
Yeah. Lumio does it as much to kind of have you gather people up away from the wagon as to have you get things done quickly. So he can have a moment alone with Forsidna.
All right.
Time, everybody. just collect everyone.
He's so quick!
And you
Sent the most efficient worker.
yeah, you take her out to the wagon, and as you guys get back out to the wagon, they're like they're like rehitching the horses, and they've taken that huge lock off the back two tires, or the back two wheels, so that the wheels could actually, like, turn.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she just kind of, there's sort of this like practically comatose way that she's just kind of trudging along behind you. And once the horses are attached to the wagon, she'll go to the front and just kind of like absently pet one, run her fingers through its hair. But yeah.
Lumia approaches her and says, "I know it is still fresh, but can you hear me? Can you understand what I am about to say to you? Or do you need more time to process?"
I can hear you.
Very well. I ask if you are ready to take this as your purpose. If so, you are woefully unprepared, and I wish to whatever end, assist you in that. The person who did this is a powerful mage, the kind that, as such as it is, make warriors like yourself laughing stock intentionally. That is why ones such as Heracule are so drawn to you. In my estimation, you will need some powerful training to go along with it in order to be the blade that can strike at her, or them, whatever they are.
Then I will get it.
Indeed. I see that you have the resolve to get to the goal you have in mind. This Heracule has wronged us as well, and we indeed seek to put a blade to him as well, but it will be some time before that is a success, and before we are ready to confront him on open ground. So, while we are preparing ourselves, would you like to prepare alongside of us?
I cannot make that oath.
I am asking you as a person. I will make those oaths for you if you need them from the chapter house. What I need right now is to understand what you desire. If it is to walk along us and see that we may end up in that position you seek out, or if you would like to go to war for some time and learn those skills on the battlefield. That is up to you. But we wish to go to that endeavor in what I would assume short order, though it may not be the most direct path. It will certainly be one we are prepared to take and prepared for the end of.
Yes, I want him dead. If your plan is to kill him, to end him, and that creature that took my cousin, then I am with you.
Good. I often seek resolve such as strong as what is burning inside of you right now. We will go to the chapter house, and we will report that you have done us a great service, and we wish you to continue in our stead with us, carrying your blade alongside us. We shall try to arrange whatever we can to make sure that this is some time. It may be a non-direct route, and you'll have to understand that my decisions are final. We may have to take some alternate routes to the destination we're looking for, but we will, and I assure you this, we will be going this way, and that blade will be ever traveling towards him. Now, back to grieving. Take your time and think long and hard over what it means to you. It will be something you'll need to carry with you for some time, I fear. Remember why you're doing this, and we will go ever onward towards it. And Lumia will leave her.
And she's just nodding with your words as you're talking, and then as you walk away, she just kind of gets a little closer to the horse and just sort of puts her head so that her forehead is touching the side of it. And she keeps petting it. And you walk away. And I think that's where we're going to take our break. And so we will be back in about 15 minutes. So come back at 9:30.
Okay.
See you soon, jelly spoons.
And we're back. So, if it helps, Justin, Danielle knew about the Carly Whipsa thing the whole time, and she thinks I'm a monster.
Oh, you are. Okay, so there's a couple things that I wanted to highlight. One is Zarek knew there was a fucking problem there.
Yeah.
She had strong suspicions
Uh-huh.
that's what was going on. But some other larger issues intervened and ultimately kind of shut out her ability to care about that up until the point where she left.
Yeah. Every time she said anything that was not 100% true, you guys might remember that I would suddenly roll like 60 20s.
Yeah. Because everybody was getting sense motive.
Yeah, that was a bluff check, her very high bluff check.
Uh-huh.
And then a bunch of sense motives. And she made all of them but one. And the one that she didn't make, DeLeon's the one that figured something out. And he was just like, what's going on? And she goes, there's some weird things that have been going on since I got hit. And he goes, all right, well, let me know. And he just walked away. And I was like, this is perfect.
Two, this is something that Quintus may have tried to make a sense motive check for, is she sounded, even though like she was leaving and this was obviously like a deception that struck at the heart of the party, like she sounded like she actually held some kind of minor goodwill towards them. And in that she was like, no, but seriously, he's an awful person, you need to go. Like, that doesn't sound like somebody who's 100% bought into the structure. It's like, you're nice people. I don't want to see you get hurt. I'm going to do my job, but it's so, like, Quintus,
Yeah,
I have checked to see if
if
that
you want
was...
to roll a sense motive check there.
Yeah, that's right. I don't even have to go to his... Oh no, where'd my bar go?
Your burr.
Easy. Oh, it may be because I have multiple characters.
Yeah, you have to click him.
But let's just do a normal roll. Awesome.
I mean,
Good first start.
it's a monstrous spirit that just stepped out of a person and melted them and then ran through a wall.
That's fair.
What was it up to? I
What-
guess it was just her time.
Get out of town! What could it mean?
It said 3 words.
Oh, hold on. Hold on a second. Does this require...
New character hijinks.
hold on. I gotta check a thing.
All right. Buffering.
But we are otherwise back, right?
Oh yeah, we're back.
Right.
Justin's trying to check a thing, so yeah.
Oh, but okay. This doesn't.
Translation error between the sheets.
Oh no, John. If you'll recall, I have a certain ability to talk to things that don't often talk back.
Yeah, but there needs to be a body.
Does there? Because it doesn't say that.
It says it works like Speak with Dead. And with Speak with Dead, there needs to be a body.
It says it works like the Grave Tongue ability, which just says that I can speak with corpses. It doesn't need to stay. It doesn't say what state those corpses are in.
One. There isn't a
Okay.
corpse. There is a pile
It does
of
not
black
count it.
goo.
I'm willing to. Yeah, I'm willing to
Yeah.
take that as is.
Yeah,
So,
like if there was a corpse, that would be fine. But your grave tongue thing won't work if there's no body to speak to. So yeah.
Black pile of goo. What do you remember?
Anyway, we do have a new character, Quintus. Quintus is a hedge
Oh,
mage,
okay.
correct? So Quintus is a hedge mage. So we have to roll some hit points. You came in at level 4, right?
that is correct. So we have to
So
roll 3
you
times.
get level 1 is already maxed. You want to roll 1d8 for level 2?
I'll take mine.
Okay, roll again.
I'll take yours.
And one more time.
I'll take yours.
All right.
Cool.
He's a gnome, so at least there's a little bit of a con bonus there. That was
I do have a con bonus.
that was actually average rolls because the 7 is going to cancel out one of the 4s, and yeah, so not bad. You have average hit points. You don't have those two levels that Dandarin had.
The sweet, like almost max Zeract hit points was
Yeah,
really
Zerax
good.
being exceptionally tough but getting hit and knocked unconscious all the time was hilarious to me.
so sad.
Okay, so the group is able to leave the Rye Smile whenever they would like. Where would you all like to go?
So I think first order of business, and to give Forsidna more time, I'm going to just take care of the business while everyone's kind of coming to grips with what just happened.
Lumio would like to speak to Dandarin just really quickly. Dandarin, when we reach House Neath, we should see about hiring Forsidna for the foreseeable future. Do you have any opposition to that?
Oh,
I thought as much, but I wish to ask beforehand. I will also discuss with the other
I've already
team
set
shortly.
aside a discrepancy budget for it.
There is a thing that I like about you, and it's the way you deal with money. Anyway, I need to.
Why did you say money like many?
Money.
There's a thing
Hey,
that I like
don't
about you,
question
and
my
it's the
methods.
way that
I'm in a
you
character,
deal with
okay?
Many.
I suddenly slipped out of character for money for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, I also wish to leave a message with the Feather Society to pass to Zeract should she ever arrive on the surface, letting her know Forsidna's fate and potential
Corley.
ringers. Corley, that's right. While she isn't traveling with us anymore, there's a chance she would return to the surface, if only to get more information or pass it along to those she needs it to be with. And I think Ringer's fate might also be of interest, though I don't know for certain. You did you have good relations with the Feather Society? I don't recall.
I only met them the once.
Fair enough.
Leon was the one who has the relations with them.
Oh, I'll speak with him then. Thank you.
Okay, so you go to talk to Delian?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And yeah,
And
It-
Delian goes, Gloa did not like me. I don't think he likes gnomes. like any gnome.
How strange.
When we talked, he was real angry with me and sort of okay with. He was as friendly as you can be to Zorak after the first sentence that Zorak says.
Oh, right. A common ailment I have found. I will attempt to speak with them on my own then, I suppose.
Yeah, it's
having not Ringer or Zorak here to attempt to be an intermediary.
And yeah, that was like, I think you were actually in the room for one of those conversations, and in that conversation he like referred to Dillian twice as his kind.
Oh. Don't remember that.
Yeah, the Kinku do not like the gnomes. But okay, so you want to go speak to the Black Feathers, and Dandrin, you wanted to go do some selling?
Yep.
Okay, so real quick, you want to sell basically a bunch of the masterwork stuff and
So what I am selling is I am going to sell a 2 +1s, a +1 following dagger and a +1 following hatchet, +1 half plate, a ring of jumping, a +1 spike chain, 2 +1 spears, 2 masterwork spike chains, 10 masterwork spears, 3 masterwork daggers, 2 masterwork light flails.
Okay.
So I am selling all of that.
Okay. So that you know, the magical stuff, you'll probably get the best price if you go to like a place that sells magical or enchanted items and, an artificery or something like that, and you sell them there. For the just masterwork stuff, you can go to a weapon shop, but considering that they are cultural artifacts, and Shrewt was talking about finding someone who would buy the coins off him, you might be able to find a pretty good price if somebody is interested in those kind of cultural artifacts.
Sure.
Jump in
so
here.
we can do...
To jump in, hearing that the Black Feathers aren't interested in gnomes and suspecting that he is exactly the kind of person that they dislike, Quintus would be interested in accompanying Dandrin, both to find appropriate buyers and also to just kind of lend his smoothing ways.
Shrewt, you come with myself and our new friend Quintus here as we go to sell the items. Delian, Tercia, and Lumio.
We'll head to the dig site and make sure everything's good. Get paid for that.
What I was going to say is you can go and... dang nabbit. All about timing.
It's probably
Jump in the sea.
probably best
I
if
understand.
Delian, you can come with us. Lumio, Tercia, if you want to go see the Black Feathers.
Yeah,
We'll
like
meet
he
back
starts
up.
walking that way when you're like, you guys go see the Black Feathers, and he's like, and I'll just move back over here, and
Yep.
We'll join you with new acquaintance. Yes.
We shall meet you at the embassy. What time should be? Do you think you will be able to make your way that direction?
Whatever a reasonable time would be for selling the stuff, and then for you guys to just meet with the Black Feathers real quick.
so
Yeah.
it's
Meta.
Yeah, it's about 10ish now. You guys still have a little while until you have to get out of your rooms for the 3 days that you paid for. So you could say that with the running around and trying to track people down and then meeting back up at the embassy, like 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock would both be acceptable.
All right.
Okay, so I will take Tercia and Lumio, and the two of you, you know where to go to speak to Gloa. So you basically just have to flag down one of the taxis and say, like, take me to the Black Feather establishment in the Southern Temple Ward, and they're able to do that. You make it in. It's the same nice little bar. There's the same shocking number of Kinku in there. Like, you see none on the street, and then you just walk in, and there's like 20. When you go in, you're able to speak with someone at the front desk who goes, "Why are you here?"
I wish to speak to someone about passing a message on to someone who may not appear for some time.
And
this message, what would be the required degree of secrecy for it?
An interesting question. I do not personally think it will be very high, but it shouldn't be passed on prior to that exchange. Does that make enough sense?
Timed, but open. Yeah.
Yes.
We have this option. I'll have you speak with one of our fixers. Yeah. And there's the Kinku kind of waves you at a pair of seats, and the two of you can wait. And then eventually, a Kinku that's just like covered in sheathed knives comes over and nods to both of you at your table and says, Glow of White Talon will speak with you now. And
we follow.
And he leads you up some stairs and into a room. And Lumio, you see Gloa, who I believe Lumio's met once.
Once.
And he's seated behind the desk, and he goes, Lumio, was it?
Indeed.
And you, Miss Irwerbos.
You know me?
I know that you are Tertia Irwerbos. But no, we have not met. Please.
As I understand it, these are information brokers, to put it mildly, and probably clumsily, as I would assume.
Correct on both counts. Please, take a seat.
Lumio sits down.
My men said that you wanted to drop a message. I
Indeed.
need the person and the protocols that you would like us to stick with.
The person is one you have met, one Zeract.
The shifter.
Indeed. We ventured into the underbelly of Star Slasker, the seat of the once empire
Pause.
that...
We need to discuss pricing.
Indeed.
At the moment, we haven't. I want to make sure that the information you tell me is either for sale or not.
The information that I'm providing you is dangerous to all but few who are especially gifted in the ways of diving into underground places full of dangers that are of unknown origin. One's similar to the party that I went down with, if you understand me.
Well,
The
then,
nature of the information could fetch you a understandably large profit, but I would not divulge the nature of how to get down there at this time.
well advised. You explain to me what you saw in your trip, and I will take your message free of charge. Hold it, and keep this information close. The details of your message will not be for sale. Is this agreeable?
This is exactly what I wish for.
And you see him dip a dowel into some ink and start scribbling out a message, or scribbling out some words on a piece of paper, and then he signs it real quick and spins the contract over to you to sign.
Just peruse it real quick.
And it says exactly what he just said, that he will take the information that you give him about Ulsharak, and he will sell that or keep that as he wishes, but whatever message you leave for Zeract is not for sale and never will be.
Excellent. Then Lumio details that, of course, he's probably aware that Old Shrek is down there. That it is linked to a dangerous plane of cold that will constantly eat away at you as you go along. I witnessed different horrors of untold origins, and fey creatures, and also other things of natures that I do not understand that happened. And then part of that changed forever Zeract, as best Lumio can tell, which made it so that dwelling down there is more favorable, as he understands it.
Interesting.
Yes.
And
It is not a desirable result, and Zeract's particular proclivities are what allowed this to happen while retaining her faculties.
I marked her as a shifter from the Reaches. It would make sense that she has some ability to survive if she was a moon speaker or trained by them. They draw on the moons and the planes in strange ways that aren't fully known even to me and mine.
That is about the general course of my knowledge as well.
Well, perhaps if we need a guide, she will serve, if we can figure a way to contact her.
Indeed.
And he'll ask you a couple of questions and get you to explain some things. But eventually, after you've had enough and it feels like you're just kind of repeating yourself, he can write about as fast as you can talk. So like it gets to the point where he's not writing whole words. He's just kind of making some sort of marked code that he understands. Mm-hmm. And he's just going through sheaf of paper after sheaf of paper, and then eventually it gets to the point where he goes, "All right, I believe we've reached the end of your information. You are repeating yourself. So, what was your message for Zeract? Should she resurface?"
That Corley was indeed injured by Hercule unto death, and a usurper placed in her stead, who traveled with us entirely to the Undercroft, returning only after we had returned to the surface. Hercule is understandably the cause for her death, and we will be seeking vengeance on him as best we can in what time it is. Also, Ringer appears to be in his service, no doubt, not under his will.
And Gloa writes this all down and then looks to you and says, "Is that it?"
It is that I do not know from whence she will emerge or when that puts the most strain on this bargain. And that is what I wish to make sure that we see out. But if you wish or think that there might be something more interesting to place in there, I don't know that this message will age well or when Zeract will return, if it is indeed something that we need to be conveyed at that point.
Then I would recommend that you bid her to contact you in your place of residence, should she have questions for you.
That is an excellent addition, and I thank you for offering it.
And he'll like scribble that down at the bottom, and eventually he'll take the sheaf and like throw some sand on it, let it dry out a little bit, shake it off, fold it. He marks it, and he takes another pad that he has, another pad of paper, and he dips the dowel again, and he writes down her name and a brief description, and he says, "I will tell those of my clan and the other feathers that to be on the lookout for someone by that description and with that name, and if she should resurface, then she is to come here and receive her message. This is all
Very
I
much
can
appreciate
do,
that.
unless we send teams down and happen to meet with her. And such a venture would only be for the young or the foolish."
It is agreed on that. I believe this concludes our business, and we have other places to be. Should you have need of us, should we return to Star Slasker again, please feel free. We are quite happy with whatever dealings we've had with you so far.
And he nods a bit, and as you stand up, he says, "Lumio, before you leave, would you...
Yes.
I want you to know that we have been attempting to gather some information on your adversary in the city. Mother Unkind was doing it in tandem with your friend, Ringer. We don't have much on Hercule. His men are perceptive and violent. But I want you to know we may have some information on the one that you say had taken over the corpse of Corley. Is this of value to you?"
I am of two minds on it, I'm afraid. One, we have no way to act upon such information at the moment. And two, I think that it would be best if we don't act upon it and it's easier to not act when we do not know. We will be returning to the city at some point, and under that time, we should hopefully be prepared to do whatever actions are necessary.
Well, me and mine will continue to keep our eyes open, and perhaps we will discover more. When you return to the city, you can always check in with us and see if we have knowledge that might be of value.
And once we meet, I hope to have valuable knowledge for you as well. I bid you adieu, and farewell.
And he nods and waves to you. Tertia, do you get up to leave when Lumio does?
Not immediately. She's kind of thinking over whether or not she wants that information instead of Lumio.
It's up to you. He's willing to sell it, but what he's saying is that he also doesn't know everything right now. They're still looking into it. He was blatant about the fact that we're looking into it. We know some things. We don't know everything, but he's willing to sell what they do have right now.
How much? How much are you selling it for? What you currently have?
Just the information on his makeshift changeling. I could be convinced to let that go for 150 Galifar.
I do not have that on me.
Well,
so that solves that problem for me. I'll keep that in mind. I'll see if I can scrounge something up before I leave the city. I'll be back.
I would advise you, if you go to some lender, make sure that you are speaking to them about just borrowing the money and not the purpose for it. Things have a way of getting back to Herrick Kuhl.
Okay. I'm hopefully just getting paid today. We just got back from a very, very long expedition.
Well, congratulations.
And he kind of nods at you and waves you towards the door and goes back to his work. And moving over to the War Crimes Wagon, currently loaded with Quintus, Sharut, Dandern, and Delian.
And other war crimes.
I'd like to make 3 bombs, please.
3 bombs?
No reason. Yeah, no reason. No reason whatsoever.
Unrelated. I make a few metal tubes, also unrelated.
What would the group like to do?
Sell the magical stuff and then go and sell the other items, hopefully for a higher price.
Yeah. The way this works, can I get from the group either a diplomacy check or a knowledge local check to be able to find someone to sell it to?
A quick question for those checks.
Sir.
I might not even need an answer with that kind of roll. Holy crap. So I spoke with what is going on?
Hold on, I have to roll twice.
Hang on.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, here's knowledge local. I'm not even going to ask with those kind of rolls. Never mind. Never mind.
Well, I know where to sell the magical items, and Quintus tells us where to find the cultural items to sell.
Yeah.
Dandrin.
God.
You know that an artificery that deals in, well, it deals more in doodads and new inventions, but it also does have a forge, and it does have journeyman artificers learning to make Babby's first +1 dagger. So you can always go to your cousin's artificery and sell it to them.
Put them further in debt.
Well, no, it probably wouldn't, because you usually don't sell it wholesale to the store for what the store sells it for. It would actually probably benefit them.
Half.
Yeah, you would sell it for. Usually, you're gonna start around half, and then you're gonna haggle to see if they get the upper hand or if you get the upper hand. So you know that Quintus
you were speaking to this delightful professor who is currently on sabbatical from Moorgrave University. And she's not so much like actually delightful as she is very eager to have people stop bothering her most of the time. And essentially you saw her in the market, and she seemed to have a keen eye for like old knickknacks and relics, and the two of you got to talking and like ate at a local sort of like delicatessen / coffee shop, and you've met up a couple times over the last week or so as you've been doing various things for the ambassador. Her name is Kia Softon, and she is apparently an archaeologist working at Moorgrave University, and where she spends the majority of her time. She tends to go to a place and just hunker down for a few days, reading everything she can, and then move to the next place.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And that while she is on sabbatical, she's supposed to be bringing something back to make that sabbatical worth it. Like, so, showing up with, oh yeah, by the way, a lot of weapons and coinage from the last outpost of the Old Dakani Empire. What do you think? Might be worthwhile.
Is this the same person that Sharut spoke to before?
Yeah, but when she spoke to Sharut, she was basically nice and also wanted you to leave.
Okay.
He's the person that Quintus spoke to. Like,
she was pleasant. She was engaging. We touched on many topics, historical and otherwise.
Yeah, and she basically has all of the knowledge of sort of old Dakani artifacts, the same way that you have knowledge of like old sort of like Fae or Eladrin artifacts. Mm-hmm. And so the two of you were sort of talking shop and comparing things and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Quintus is remarkably well-read and well-educated.
So, but yeah, where she is usually around this time of day because she has a bookshop that you found her in, about 3 days ago, and she was like, "Oh, I just moved to this one because people kept bothering me at the other one." And you were like, "Oh, I'll stay away." And then you started grabbing some like old archaeological texts, and she's like, "All right, well now I'm interested. What are you reading?" But yeah, you've talked shop with the same person as Sharut suggested. You just know where to find her.
Yeah. Her first name is it Kias or
it's Kia. It's Kia. Or sorry, I believe it was actually Kya. And her last name is Softon.
Okay, cool. That's what I got. Awesome. So the way I like to imagine this is that Quintus is like, I know this delightful woman. We met over books, just touching on various historical artifacts, and then goes to describe exactly the person that Sharut knows, just much nicer, like way more open and interested. And I do believe that we can locate her, and this would further the studies that she's already expressed interest in.
Shouldn't know of this person, though somewhat colder than your description.
She did not like Sharut. No one likes Sharut.
True, buddy. Some of us like Sharut. It's none of us here, but some of us.
Yes, enjoyed Sharut's stories. Not Sharut.
Don't take it personally. This is what I do have done for really quite an incredible amount of time for a living. So others might find me amenable and easy to talk to is just part of my nature.
Sharut understand nature of fellow scholar. No personal.
Yeah. And
you said that.
So the group can sort of head to the sort of like central market district near Route Centra, where all the rails come in, and you can lead them to the bookshop that you've been meeting her at for the last couple of days. And when you walk in, she'll like look at you, Quintus, and she'll smile, and then she'll see Sharut and like just kind of look back and forth from him to you and you to him and him to you, and she doesn't look incredibly pleased.
Knowing that this is kind of what's going on, Quintus raises a hand. He says, this is... Sharut and I have business together. Something, actually, that just came up, and I need his level of expertise to follow up on a situation. However, in the process of discussing that, I believe that we've stumbled upon something that would make your sabbatical much more profitable than what you've been finding thus far. The dusty tomes and tidbits of knowledge really have nothing over the actual physical items themselves. And he says that with just a conspiratory grin and looks suffused with excitement about this.
Dandrin will just kind of like casually set the items next to Sharut and Quintus.
Wait, so you just walked into this bookstore with like an armful of spears and swords?
Wrapped up appropriately.
And
please, Dandrin is a professional.
So they're wrapped up. So Sharut will take one of the coins from the Takani and he'll place it in front of her and say, in Goblin,
"This should give you an idea of what Sir Quintus is talking of."
And you, Quintus, will see her take the coin, and she looks to Sharut, and she picks up the coin, and she puts it down on the table, and then you see her reach into her backpack and pull out this little like box, which she then flips open, and she takes out a little file and a little scraper thing, and she starts like very, very carefully starts scraping the edge of one of the coins, or of the coin that Sharut put up. And once she's done that, she's like takes some tweezers and she picks up a little filing that she's gotten off it, and she's looking at it, and she says, "Well, this does not make any sense. How do you have what look to be freshly minted Dakani coins?"
You not recall the conversation we had?
Oh, my dear Sharut, that's not at all the way to discuss these sorts of situations.
Did you actually go down there? Is it actually there?
There are remnants, yes.
And you found it. You found Ul Sharak.
What is left of it?
So it is ruined then.
Actually,
unfortunately so.
Much of the city does, in fact, lie in a bit of ruin, but Sharut's being overly dramatic, I'm afraid. The palace proper, or what the keep, more accurately, is fairly well preserved. There are a number of items we were not able to bring back, but most of the outlying buildings are shoveled, and it is a very dangerous location. However, we were able to find it and bring back, and he motions to the bag, a number of objects that may interest you, preserved due to magical means.
I'll need to examine them closer. Can you? And she kind of like nods to you and looks to you, Sharut, and she's sort of like she's unsure, and you don't know if it's like the kind of racism towards goblins in the city, if it's just that she doesn't know how to actually act around the people whose like culture she's always digging into. It's a weird thing. And eventually her eyes settle on Quintus, and she says, "I'll need to examine these closer. Can you follow me to my lodging?"
Of course. We wouldn't expect you to simply take our word for it. You're an expert in these particular historical matters. I would trust no one other than you to determine the veracity of these claims.
Yeah, we'll just... So is her lodging just like right here?
Yeah, it's pretty much like she's picked a place that's pretty close to this shop that she's hanging out at, and you see her take a lot of the books from this bookstore, and she stops by the counter and she just drops a handful of coins and then basically like walks across the street to one of these little dwellings here and climbs a couple sets of stairs, and then she's in what amounts to either a large hotel room or sort of a small studio apartment. And it looks like she has been sort of collecting books / collecting knickknacks for a while now. And she says, just lay them on the bed. I'll get some tea going. And she does that, and she'll start looking over the weapons. And she pays pretty close attention to the spears and the chain weapons. She doesn't really seem to care much at all about the daggers or the swords or anything like that. Like, she gives them a cursory look over, but it's more that she's just got these things and they're like, all right, well, like, they're there. They exist. They're products of the time. But she's interested in the spears, and she'll say it like, his best soldiers, a lot of armies, you give your footmen, your pikemen, your frontline fodder spears. But it wasn't like that for Prednaz Kaldurgs. Everything that I've read said that he held the spear in the highest regard. You had to work up to it. The soldiers who were nothing, they are the ones who carried swords.
The sword's a sidearm.
The sword was a sidearm, yeah, for the spear. But of course, there's always those hobgoblins that stick to tradition, and then she picks up the spiked chain. And she doesn't swing it around or anything like that, but Dandrin, you're pretty skilled with fighting in general, and Sharut, I mean, you're from a catch, and
This is information that Sharut pretty much already knows.
yeah, but you're from a catch, and you've seen that, like, the hobgoblins that live in the catch, for them, chain weapons are like the thing. And she's not swinging it around. It's not like she's practicing with it, but she definitely holds the spiked chain like she knows how to use it. It seems very natural. And she says, okay, so what are we talking about price-wise? And with that, can I get a check from someone? This is going to be a... hold on. I'm trying to see if it's diplomacy or appraise. I think it's appraise. Yes, it's an appraise roll. So can I get an appraise roll from somebody, please?
Prentice will assist.
I will make an appraise check. Can Sharut also assist?
Sharut can try to assist.
Yeah.
Sharut assists.
Right.
Assists.
All right.
So you got a +4.
As it always happens.
The tradition continues.
It's tradition, so yeah.
Okay. Dandrin, you are able to sell the weapons at 55% of cost, and you are able to sell her the coins for 205% of what they're worth instead of 200%.
Okay. And Sharut, what were the coins?
I
know you wrote those down.
I do have those down, yeah. So 32 platinum, 157 gold, and 220 silver.
Yeah, so add all of that up. You said 32 platinum?
Yeah, 32 platinum, 157 gold, 220 silver.
Yep.
57 gold, and then 22 more gold. So the way this works is going to be plus 57 plus 22 times 2.05 is going to be, she will get you 818 gold for the coinage that you have. Modern Galifar coins for your old Dakani coins. And then Eric, 55% of whatever the sale price for the...
I'm just adding 5% onto what I...
Yeah, that works too. Actually, hold on. That's probably too low because 50% is regular. She would... I'm going to say 75% because that's going like, oh, it's an ancient weapon from the ancient age. This is a relic. I won't give you $1. I'll give you $1.05. So we'll go a little bit higher than that, and we'll say 75. She is just going to be putting it on display in the museum at Moorgrave University. So,
if it's of interest, if there's a particular item that she is looking at and has questions about, Quintus could do an object reading and let her know how that item was obtained and lost by its last owner. Just to add a little spice to the display.
sure. I mean, when you offer that, and she says, "Is this a magical ability?"
He nods.
If you want to, sure. And she'll like take the nicest looking of the spears and hold it out to you.
Quintus opens himself up to voices that he doesn't typically allow, and learns how to do this. And then spends a spell point to activate object reading.
Nice.
And so for a minute, I can gain an additional piece of information. Let's see. 3, 4, 5. Yes. So I gain the owner's race, gender, age, alignment, and how they gained and lost the object. Gained or lost the object. So I suppose gained first, and then again for lost.
So yeah, you touch one of the spears, and it looks like this particular spear was owned by a hobgoblin female, a fairly high-ranking soldier, and it was lost when she stabbed her chieftain with it and left it in him.
Mm-hmm. How did she gain it?
How'd she gain it? It was a gift from that same chieftain.
Perfect.
And when you touch another one, if you do the same thing, very similar. Like you can kind of see Predna's Kaldurgs like at a ceremony awarding it to her, and you'll see a couple of flashes of the next hobgoblin woman like fighting with it and fighting off monsters and fighting off, just anybody that they were told to conquer, and then it ends with her stabbing him in the chest.
Yeah. And he'll relay all of that information to her.
And yeah, she's happy with all this. She doesn't seem, and she'll sort of look at Sharut and she'll say, "Is that true? His own men turned on him."
The information I was able to gather. Yes, he made decisions that kept the Empire going, but they consumed him.
Well, that tends to be the way with tyrants. If you ever do write up what you learned, and you want to send me a copy, she'll copy down her information out of her identity papers, and she'll hand it over to you. Says, "I'm
Sure. Well, go ahead.
I only have another week or two before I have to head back to Moorgrave."
He'll take the paper, and he'll say,
It will take me and my fellow scholars a while to disseminate this information, but once all is said and done, I will see to it that you receive a copy.
and he'll pocket it.
And she nods. And after you say that, Deline goes, "Isn't that the way it always is? It takes about as long for scholars to figure something out as it does for the people that actually did it."
Sometimes even longer, Delian. There's much to sift through when it comes to finding history.
If it was worthwhile, probably would have been found by now.
Well, that's hardly the case. I think at least 3 of us here would agree with that.
Yeah,
Quintus says the truth.
Deline would shrug. I'm pretty used to that. And so, from there, Dandarin, you said that you wanted to stop by the artificery to meet with your cousins anyway. Is that where you'd like to sell the magic items?
So when they get back into the wagon,
Yeah.
Sharut's gonna smack Dandarin on the shoulder.
How can I help you?
try to keep the information about what lies below undetected. The last thing I would like are more eyes snooping around that area.
He says that in Goblin.
Well, we didn't tell them how to get there, did we? Still have to
No.
figure it out. And by the time they do, it's going to be iced over again anyway.
The fact that they know means that they can try. I would prefer that they not try.
All right, fair enough. So anyway, this is my cousin's place of business.
Yes, I'm well aware.
So yeah, I'll just park the wagon as normal and
Lumia, you're not there.
Don't mind me, just tidying up a bit.
Now I'm now noticing that this map has a view of the front.
This really is a phenomenal map.
I really like this map.
That is a great map.
Yeah, it has a lot of neat stuff in it. There's some stuff that's underneath this too. It's just a really good map. Quintus and Delian and Sharut and Ringer all accompany Dandarin to his cousin's shop. Oh, double Dandarin.
Ringer.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the names as I'm trying to put people down. There's no Ringer here. Don't look at Quintus. There's no Ringer at all. There we go. And as you are all doing your thing, when you get there, you see that Murgi is there.
Murgi!
And there's a couple of like one of his apprentices is kind of manning the front desk, but yeah, when you come in, he goes, "Oh, cousin, I was wondering if you'd be back."
I told you I would be.
Yeah, but well, Murin said you're like
Sorry
me,
to worry you, cousin.
the kind that
And
would
he goes
jump
over and
into
just
a
gives
hole.
him a big bear hug. Yeah.
And he'll do the same, and he goes, Murin said you're like me, the kind that would jump into a big hole just to see how deep it was. And I said, I mean, how else do you measure the bottom? But I think
Well, you could always throw a rock first and see if you hear it, and if you don't, though, well, then you've got to know.
Oh, yeah. So for man, I am getting real annoyed at me messing this up. I keep updating like tokens and it's not quite working. Let me make sure I did that. Yay, I did it correctly that time. All right. Quintus, Murgi looks more like what you would consider to be a typical Soranath. Based on your experience with the family in, Metrol and Making and any other Siren city you ever went to. Pretty skinny. All the hair on his body is black and is, for the most part, fairly straight. There is, practically no resemblance between him and Dandarin at all. Dandarin, as you're walking in, Murgi goes, "So, who are your friends? Did you? You didn't?"
Dear cousin Murgi, this is Quintus. He's a new associate of ours. Seems a decent sort of fellow. This is Delian, quickly becoming a fast friend. And back there is Sharut, fine companion.
And he goes, none of them are the Warforged. Is the Warforged okay?
Oh, he's fine. Lumio's all right. He's on the other side of town, taking care of some other affairs, along with another new acquaintance of ours.
Oh, good. And Quintus, as you sort of walk around to his side, he'll reach out and shake your hand. And
Oh, absolutely. That's why Quintus was there. He wasn't going to do it awkwardly from the angle.
yeah, and he'll shake your hand and say, pleasure, of course. Any friend of Dandarin's a friend of ours, and if any of you are in the market for, wand scrolls, potions, the like, maybe even a armored piece or two, or some sort of a weapon. I see many of you are armed and armored, and my keen eyes are telling me that my cousin has not been doing his due diligence and making sure that you have fine Sornath enchantments on them there weapons. So,
well, I haven't much had a forge to properly enchant them. Oh, by the way,
what I hear
it came
from
to
that
me.
sounds like excuses. That sounds like excuses to me.
Well, the excuse will have to come down to the situation at hand, but we're on our way back so I can get it properly taken care of. That being said, dear cousin, I do in fact have a few things you might be interested in from our latest excursion.
Ah, well,
He'll pull out the various wares and kind of just go down the breakdown of all of them, and
yeah.
for the most part, they're quite basic. But this knife and hatchet, they've got an unusual enchantment on them, in addition to the most basic of enchantments. Have you heard of following weapons before?
Following weapons. Yes.
If you strike with one,
Halflings.
yes, it...
Halflings.
yes.
They tend to put them on their knives. I haven't encountered them often, but I've encountered them a time or two.
I had never encountered them before, but I remember reading about them. And so that's that, and then a few spears here. These are the old relic-styled spears, but the magic on them is held true. He'll pull those out.
He goes, and he's holding it like they're serviceable. Don't get me wrong, they're serviceable, but they're also hobgoblin-y, which means that there's no artistry to them at all. They're just efficient spears. This is just a point at the end of a stick. And he's just looking at it like, where did you find this? And did you beat the smith to death?
Oh, I assure you, the smith is quite dead.
Well, good.
Yes, I agree. That being said, if I'd had more time, I could have transferred it properly over, but like I said, time was a bit of a crunch.
Well, let me get a proper eye in me, and we'll look over these things and see what they might be worth, huh?
And so I'll just pull out everything for it.
Yeah, and he will essentially like walk away for a bit, and then he comes back with like some sort of weird device on his head, and he's carrying this thing that Sharut, you, and Quintus see for the first time, and it looks like an abacus, but it looks wrong. It's an abacus, but there's just too much to it. And he's looking over the spears, and he kind of like fits that thing to his eye, and I need at this point for Dandrin, you to give me an appraise check.
Sure. Do I have any bonus for it being family?
I'll give you a +2.
Very good. And then Quintus and Shrewd, you guys want to try?
Yeah.
Let's keep the tradition going.
That's this. For sure.
Look, we are trying to make it so. Shrewd assists.
All right.
If you roll lower than a 12, then...
you got an additional +6 to this roll.
Yep.
I don't think he can roll it.
Good God.
He's trying, but he can't roll lower
I
than that.
certainly am trying.
Okay. You are able to sell these for 57% of their normal cost.
Okay.
Yeah, he says, all right, look, they're good. The enchantment's holding. Don't know how long. It looks like these things were sort of flash forged and then enchanted at some sort of like Cannith factory line. It's a trash enchantment, but it's holding well enough. If nothing else, it'll be something that I can get the young ones to practice on. See if they can turn it into something new, or they can practice the next level of things on it. But it's good enough. And these following ones, I had some of the Blackfeathers in here a couple days ago asking about something similar. So I think I can probably move these pretty quick. I'll give you a fair price. And
Most reasonable of you, cousin.
And he's able to give you that. And then you've been gone for 3 days. Is there anything else that you need in here or want in here? For Quintus and Sharut, this is And actually, like, okay, like, fairly well-stocked artificery. Like, you see potions, you see scrolls on the wall, you see, like, wands and all of that sort of thing. Yeah, and from what he said, with there being a forge in the back, you think that, weapons or armor would just be a step or two away, if that's what you want either.
Quintus is kind of holding some of the newer, some of the items designed with newer tech, just looking kind of befuddled. And he turns and he says, "Well, I know the quality of the Soranathi from well back in the days of Seer, but I will say I need some time to catch up and truly understand the advancements that have been made since I was last in a shop of this nature.
And
my days at the college are long behind me, I'm afraid."
And you see him going, "Oh, yeah, of course. If you have any questions about anything," and he's moving beads on his abacus, and he's only moving them on like the top 2 or 3 rows, and you see the bottom 2 rows are moving without him touching things.
Yeah, Quintus will point to that and say, "Well, that's interesting. What is that there?" And of course, I know the traditional methods of using an abacus. We learned that first year, but
well,
that's something different.
I had an apprentice a while back, human lad, incredibly good with his potions and his alchemicals, but something terrible with numbers. Just couldn't fathom it, and it gave me an idea that, well, there's probably more people like that out there. So if I could make something that would allow them to sort of input, and then would give them the right number, so that they didn't have to calculate it themselves. And a typical abacus, you're doing all the work yourself. It requires you to keep up with what's going on. This one, you're just telling it, what's coming in, and it gives you what's going out. Still working out the kinks, and if I do too many calculations, it'll start to smoke here in a minute. But I think I could really have something here.
I think you could. Did you have any of the apprentices look into the suggestion about having a toggle so that you could swap between currencies?
Thought about it, but, well...
Just do different variations of the device instead of one that does it all?
Probably easier. Like as not, the Galifar is still the standard. Everyone's still using the Galifar, even though the Galifar, well, doesn't quite mean what it used to. But still the standard. So
Root will peruse the potions.
Yeah. There are a large variety of potions, all of which are clearly marked. He has bark skin and curing potions and potions of shield and mage armor and like everything. They seem to be divided both by the sort of level of the spell that you would need to be able to brew the potion, but also by the school that the potion's from. So like all the protective potions are in one spot, all of the healing potions are in one spot, that sort of thing on down the line.
Oh, I was not prepared to shop. Is there?
Can we do shopping if people are unprepared? Things that they want to buy specifically from here. Can we do that shopping perhaps in between weeks?
Sure. If you do it in between weeks, there's no discount.
Well then.
Potion of grease.
A potion of grease?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, like to throw, like an oil."
Yes.
I've got a few of those. And,
How much are those?
They're 50 Galifar a piece, baseline.
Yeah. Sharut would purchase. I think Sharut would purchase 2 of those.
Okay. If you just want to give him 100 Galifar, you can grab 2. And he'll say, yeah, I can have one of the lads wrap it up for you. And he goes, "Lad!" And this woman walks out and goes, "Yeah?" And he goes, "Wrap up a pair of grease potions for this one." And she steps over to the counter and starts like grabbing them. And he goes, "Good lad."
Sharut will also be like,
Any other utility the root should have.
Depends on what you're doing.
Sharut explains to him that he's able to put something like the oil of grease or the potion of grease into a bolt vial and shoot it from afar. So anything that would help him just be more versatile on the battlefield.
Well, I know one that might be of help to you. And lucky for you, these are cheaper. And he goes over and he grabs they're pretty small little potions. And he goes, made these for one of the black feather lads, but he never came in to pick them up. And they've been languishing here for about a month now. And he says, he like holds it up and he shakes it and he goes, there's an oil of open and close. Now, I'll be fair to you. It's practically useless if the door's locked, window has a latch on it. But if it's just open, shuts. If it's closed, opens. If your crossbow probably has better distance than an arm, so I could see that being useful to someone like you.
Yeah, Sharut will pick up, or how much are they?
They are 25 apiece.
I think Sharut will pick up 3 of those.
Okay. He'll sell you 3 and he'll put the other one back.
Excellent. So that's oil of open and close.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I just need bolt vials.
Yeah, and all it does is that if it's not locked, it opens. And if it's open, it closes. That's all it does. It's a cantrip, basically. But it's useful to do at a distance.
That works. Does that work on both doors and chests?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Was there anything anyone else wanted before, you guys head back out?
Andrew will just do, he'll go, if Murin's in, he'll go say hey to him, but other than that.
With it being early in the morning, Murin's probably in, but asleep.
Sleeping?
So would he wake him up to say goodbye?
Oh, he would, Yogi, fortunately, we'll have to heading out today, I'm afraid. So, just goodbye. Rather not wake up Cousin Murin. Know how he gets.
And he goes, yeah, I know.
I'll be back.
But,
know when.
Honestly, he might appreciate it if you just went up. And
all right.
He's, you know how he could be.
All right. I'll go see him then.
Yeah, so you're able to kind of go up and knock on the door, and after a couple minutes of knocking, Murin will open the door, and he's just he just looks just pissed and just naked, and he goes, "What? Oh, it's you."
I knew you'd be upsetting, but I'm heading out to the city today. I just tried to stop in and say goodbye until next we meet.
Yeah, of course. It's and he kind of then realizes that you're not, Mirgi, and so then he sort of walks away and he grabs a robe and swings it on, and he then steps back up to you and says, be sure to give my love to Uswin. It's been too long since I've seen her. If we can,
I'll see if she can make a trip out at some point.
Yeah, if we can, if things start going better, I'll see if we might be able to.
I sure hope they do.
Yeah, and he kind of he looks around a little bit, and then he motions you inside, inside the room.
Yeah.
And he shuts the door and he goes, he was asking about you.
I know. A friend of mine.
What'd you say?
Took a friend of mine.
Yeah, he
Can,
what were you? Go ahead.
I'm not sure if we're having a connection issue or whatever, but yeah, I was just making sure that you heard what I said.
I didn't hear what you said the second time either.
Said he took a friend of mine.
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. All I heard the first time was friend of mine, and then I heard friend of mine again twice. And he goes, I'm sorry. Look, I
I didn't want to get you involved. I don't want you involved. If he took a friend of yours, it might be best to just write that friend off.
I appreciate your concern, cousin, but no, I can't do that.
I know.
But it doesn't mean I'm going to be a bull-headed fool about it. I prepare myself as much as possible. I'm not alone in it. But
if you feel like
situation, best to not speak too much on it.
If you feel like you're gonna do something loud and permanent, like, give us maybe a bit of warning, eh?
I'll be sure to let you know before anyone else.
Maybe a bit of warning, but not necessarily a visit.
I'll make sure the message gets to you.
Sorry if that seems,
Just being practical and worried about your family, I understand. No shame in it, cousin.
And he kind of like nods and hangs his head and he goes, he's good, you know. He's good at what he does. But a damned idiot just doesn't understand who he's working with.
I know. But the problem with our mutual friend is, and Dandrid's gonna flip his hammer. He made himself half machine. You know how I love taking those apart. But,
it might.
Anyway.
In my experience with him, it's not the machine part of him that's the question. That's all just window dressing on the worst damn store in Star Alaska. You be careful.
You too. And he's gonna give him a big old bear hug.
Yeah, and he
And
gives you
as they're giving the hug, he's gonna be like, I know you're stressed, cousin, but you take some time for yourself if you can. Can't be doing this half dead.
and he'll just kind of like shrug and shake his head and he goes, it's hard. If I take too much time, he's liable to make some sort of new stupid deal.
Well, if you'd like, I can give it a go of talking some sense into him. It's not gonna work, but I can give it a go.
And he goes, if talking to him worked, I don't think we'd be in this mess. You're lucky. You and Gruddock, you got Uswin. That idiot.
And at that, he's just gonna kind of.
And like when you sigh, he goes, any news on that, by the way?
I've not heard any word. But haven't been home. I imagine they'd send it to Uswin first, since she's staying in one location and all.
Well, then, Aladra's grace to you. You'll need all the luck you can get.
Appreciate it, cousin. I'll let you get back to your sleep then.
Right then. Right.
Right.
And,
All right. And Dandra will make sure to put on a happy face when he goes downstairs.
yeah. And, like, as you come down, Mirgi is explaining to Quintus and Sharut and Delian that he's like, yeah, and I'm thinking about this new enchantment for Axis. And, well, it'll be very expensive. But if it does, they'll cut 15% faster. Yes.
An axe of forestry. Not a bad idea.
And for Quintus and Sharut, this is the third or fourth thing that Mirgi has talked about that will, quote, be very expensive, but if it works, blah, blah, blah.
Are all of these things that he's suggesting efficient?
Yeah. I mean, they're so efficiency means are you getting more than the value out of it? And that sort of depends on how much value you put into it.
Are they more efficient than what he's accustomed to?
I mean, yeah, probably.
That he's listening intently.
Yeah, like this automatic abacus thing, like that has some real possibilities. But, you know, It has to not smoke and light on fire. Like he said, this one does sometimes.
Like it's pretty clear from the questions that Quintus is asking and the ways that he's reacting that like a lot of this is new.
Yeah.
This isn't he's not been exposed to whatever's going on here frequently.
Yeah. And this is like this is that sort of like untapped kind of artificer mind of, look, magic is science here. And what happens if we just let that stuff go? Like if it just goes untamed and unchecked and it just takes a more powerful enchantment to get something done. And this is one of those guys that does that sort of thing. So, probably a bit more
blatantly on the new and improved sort of side than Quentin is used to, or Quintus is
Oh, yeah.
used to.
Yeah, by a lot.
Yeah. So, at that, it looks like everybody is done, and so they can head to the embassy.
Quickly, to the embassy.
Quickly, to the embassy!
Quick, everyone, into the war crimes wagon.
We won't do the Dunlop thing for that one. We'll leave that one alone.
That's just the sound the wagon makes when it moves.
The wagon just makes that sound.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Your
It
suspension
lulls them
sounds
into a
like
false sense of...
could use some work.
Your suspension sounds like it's from the 60s. What's going on?
It's from the 60s, you see.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
So the lot of you meet up at the Siren Embassy of Starlasker, and Tercia and Lumio, the two of you are just about arriving on foot when you hear that old squeaky waxel going, because the horses are moving at city speeds. And yeah, so Quintus, you have spent a good amount of time in this place over the last year, back and forth, and you come here sometimes, you go to other embassies. For the rest of you, I think this is like your second trip. Yeah, so you, I'm assuming, go inside, knock on the door.
Absolutely.
And one of the aides to the ambassador will open the door and look at the lot of you with, like some recognition. But when he looks down and sees Quintus, he goes, "Ah, so these were them then. You found them."
Yes. Took some doing. They weren't local for some time, but yes, we did in fact find these missing individuals.
I didn't know that these were the ones you were speaking about, Orgev and his little cruise.
Well, it's hard to move so many pieces on them. Keep
Well,
track of them all.
come in. The lot of you are just in time. Ambassador Irritated got back, about 2 hours ago. And he leads you all inside and, takes your coats and cloaks if you would like, and leads you upstairs to her office.
Shoot, I'm still hurt, by the way.
The whole time he's just been limping and holding in his stomach.
Been at less than half health the whole time.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, no. Sharut has been underneath half health as well. Like he's soldiering on.
You're like, we're in the city. It's safe. It's not fantasy Gotham. We'll be fine.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I thought we were going to be here for like 5 minutes. We've been here longer than I had expected.
No, you knew that you had to check in with everything. You knew that.
We had things to do.
In fact,
I,
in
as a
addition
player,
to
knew
knowing,
that.
in addition to knowing,
I as a player knew that Sharut doesn't want to be in this city.
in addition to knowing, I told you that you wouldn't be immediately leaving.
I, as the player, know this. Sharut wants the fuck out of this city.
I mean, I guess. So yes, the
Which is why Dandarin brought this up.
the six of you are led up to the second floor and let into Ambassador Irritaden's office, where she is currently sitting behind her desk, and she will stand to greet all of you. And you see a trio of chairs, and she'll look at the aide that let you in and say, 3 more, Jensen. And the aide will begin to bring in another trio of chairs. And she says, please sit. I have news for all of you. And then as you're being let in, she realizes that the composition of the group has changed. Number one, that half-elf that was here has been replaced by an elf. And number two, the shifter is gone now and replaced by Quintus. And Tertia, she looks at you and she says, "You must be Tertia Irwarabos.
Yep, that's me.
I had heard you survived. And
Thanks to these fine folks, yes.
no, not the course of the last couple of days. I had heard that you would survive the morning.
Oh, yeah, that was not necessarily thanks to these fine folks, but I suppose it's possible.
Well, my
Maybe
Blessed.
Lumio, but certainly not me. I was most assuredly in the hold.
my family didn't have much in the way of dealings with yours, but my mother greatly respected your father. So, out of respect to her and to him, should you need anything of me, just send word. There was some sort of debt there, and I don't know what it was, but I can make sure it's paid in full.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to make it up to me, gather any Syrians you know in town that are reputable, bring them down to New Seer to join us for a Tago.
And she smiles, and she says, "You want them to venture south for a dance?"
Yes,
No, my dear.
I'm
it's
building
not
a
merely-
school.
Not merely a dance, the Tago. Come, you know better than that.
And like, as a trio, you, Quintus, and Tertia, and Tanaya Irtadian will all sort of say, "This is not a dance, it's a tradition, it's a cultural phenomenon." And like, you sort of all say it together all at once. And then it's just something that all of you will have heard any number of hundreds of times as you were being forced to learn this dance as a kid. And she says, "Well, I won't say that every reputable Syrian has already moved to New Seer, but most of those with the ability to do so have. Those who are stuck here seem to not have the funds for such a trip, or other obligations, or maybe just are too scared to make that sort of movement into a town that's so new. But I will put out the word that one of the Earware Bows is starting a school there, and we'll see if we can increase your student count."
That would be just perfect.
And once that's done, and the aide has brought in that trio of chairs and brought in some tea for everyone. And when I say everyone, Lumio, you have a cup of tea. I don't know what you'll do with it, but it's there and it's yours.
I treat it with dignity, and then at some point discreetly put it aside.
Are there any healing properties to tea?
No, this tea seems to be tea.
Oh,
How is
can't
that?
add it.
It doesn't taste like mushrooms.
Can't add it to my salve. Then that's unfortunate.
She will say to you, Dandrin, and she says, "Well, I wanted you to know that the mission that you brought to me was successful. The request. I managed to make it to Rowett and speak to Boronel, and Boronel spoke to his council for Orgev getting the land that we requested.
Good.
Oh, that came through then. Oh, excellent.
I will say he doesn't fully understand why. He knows that we want it. He knows that it's special. He does not know why we want it or why it's special. But he is Boronel, and that means that there's some leeway there in terms of how much he would look into something and how angry he would be if he found out. Boronel, for the most part, could give two shits about anything that his council wants. Please, pardon my Carnathy.
Of course.
But, we will, of course, be needing you to return with the deed for the land, and just make sure, no matter what, this makes it to Orgev's hand. And she holds the deed forward to you, Dandering, because she knows that it's your wagon. So it's basically it's a scroll tube that's tied, and she just holds it out to you, and she says, "Orgev should know the words to unlock it."
Right.
During
We'll make
the,
sure it gets straight to him.
During the course of this conversation, Shroot's just making salves.
No, he's not. He's not pulling out
Any
a chemical
not?
lab in the ambassador's office.
Okay.
He might start to, and then he gets whacked by Quintus.
I'm actually okay with that. Yeah.
No. What are you doing? Neither the time nor the place.
Root is pure practicality, I'm afraid. That being said, Ambassador, thank you kindly for the tea and for your time. We will make sure that the missive is delivered. Is there anything else we can do before we head out? We will be heading out this evening, after all.
Quintus and I have also been successful in some other negotiations with House Orion. There were certain requirements to those negotiations with Starlasker, with the various guilds here. But let me show you on the map. And she walks over to basically a map of Braylon and Corvair.
Quintus just looks so full of himself at this point. Just fucking thrilled.
And she says, well, of course you all know of the lightning rail that runs from Sterngate up to Starlasker. It passes numerous small towns along the way, but it does not come close enough to New Seer. New Seer, at the moment, is attainable only by road. It took some bargaining, but we were able to get House Orion to agree to build another line down to New Seer. This will happen on the inner road, and will come down through this way to here. There's further talk that it might stretch out to Kinrun, but we're still working on that at the moment. There's even... And she sort of looks to Quintus and looks to Shroot and looks back to Quintus and then looks to you, Dandarin, and she's like, there's even...
He gives a nod, let's talk about this.
There's even talk that we might be able to connect it to to Dargoon if the Dargul will make certain concessions.
Shroot can't help but chuckle at that comment.
And
he looks... And Quintus looks over, and he's just, it'll be, again, of course, a measure of civilization.
And should they not choose to make those concessions, there are other paths we can take. But this does something to connect our new home to the greater world until we can, reclaim our old home until tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, we don't know. But this is a nice stopover point in the meantime. And she nods to you, Quintus, and she says, the Orion Scouts are already working with the Road Wardens to see what kind of trail we should take, the exact path, what we might need to go around, where it would be easiest, hardest, or impossible for the lightning rail to run. But we should have some estimates in the coming weeks or months.
Those estimates will be important for us in determining the kinds of resources we need to find or recover.
Yes. So, I just want to congratulate all of you, but I want to thank all of you as well. You have guaranteed so much for New Seer, all of you, over the last month, more than some have since the city's founding 2 years ago. And I do want to thank you, whether you are a native Siren, and she kind of nods to Delian and Quintus and kind of nods to Lumio, or whether you are just a foreign ally. We owe you much.
Happy to be of service.
Was there... I expect now that you'll be moving back to New Seer, was there anything that any of you need before you leave the city?
We have 2 more stops that we need to make on the way out, but aside from that, I do not have anything else I would like to request at this time.
Of course. I do have some messages, if you could take them back with you. Things that I wouldn't necessarily like to leave in the hands of either the Feathers or Civis.
Yes, we can act as couriers in this case, yes.
Of course. I can offer a few Galifar if you wish, though it might be better for you if you were to bargain a favor from those you're delivering to.
Yes.
Well, in that case, that shall be a promise then.
So, yeah, and she will hand you a number of envelopes. Like, she hands you about a dozen envelopes to deliver, and it's like, there's something for Timmons. There's a small box that's supposed to go to Stalwart. There's something for Cogsworth. There's something for various Siren refugees that live in town. And it'll say, like, name, New Seer, and then usually the district that they're in, because the streets haven't really been named yet. So you're just supposed to be able to find them with that information.
All right.
And
I'm sure it'll be fine.
That'd be fine. And at that, that's all that she has for you, unless any of you have something else for her.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Oh.
I say we go pick up Fosidna now.
And as you're about to leave, she goes, "Wait.
Yes?
There was something else. I wasn't sure if I should send this, but on second thought, I think it needs to be sent. It needs to be seen. If you can." She hands you another scroll, and she says, "This needs to find its way to Orgev, but it needs to find its way to the Sheriff of Three Tenths first."
Sheriff of Three Tenths first.
You looked familiar with 3/10.
3/10 is the district of.
Yeah, he's familiar.
His
Because that's where the law goes to heal often. That's where he found Bright Teal as well.
It's a man named Western Essick. He's a wand slinger of some renown. He was during the war, and he is now. He's old. He's retired. He's not exactly friendly, but he needs to know what's inside. Show him this, but the message needs to make it to Orgev. And she'll give you that one, and then she thanks you all, and you're sort of free to go. And at that, I think that's a good place for us to stop. And then we can pick up with grabbing Forsidna and heading out next week.
And seeing House Thrash.
Yeah, sorry. Forsidna and House Thrashk, and then heading out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good night, Jelly Spoons.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night, Jelly
Good night.
Spoons.
Rest tight, Jelly Spoons. Tight as the lid of a jelly.
Why are there two cheroots here?
Why? So many cheroots. All right. Bye, everybody.
Just start multiplying them.